Alright, hopefully we're getting close to the end here. Foreboding feelings stuck with you since your arrival in the stifling vapors of Highwing Cove. The high road to the nest of Trieste is patrolled by the Commonwealth's ancient enemies. Cliffs here form a natural barrier, creating a suitable environment for the harps. Some of it spreads to others in the group. We mislike this wretched place. I don't like letting the downside get to me like this. You decide to focus on pursuing your vocations. Alright, let's train people. She's already above 3. We want everybody above 3 at least. So we gotta train one of these two. Train Wolfred. I should be interested to see which lessons you have taken from the book. You ask Wolfred to explain to you in his own words the histories of the 8 scribes and speak of how their varied backgrounds form the basis not just of the rites, but of the Commonwealth. The rites demand we act as of one mind in perfect unison and harmony, and free of any doubt. I've grown more accustomed to being part of the Nightwings of today. Okay, he's 3 now. While using his shield ability, Wolfred shields his allies as well. That's pretty cool. Wolfred permanently gains +5 hope. That's just whatever. Sapling. We'll just get this. I sometimes fear the spirit of the teachings of the scribes is already long forgotten back where we come from. Alright. Where am I? Oh, we're here. Okay. We're heading here. Halt. Everyone, I beg you, please forgive my rudeness here. The black wagon has shuddered to a stop en route to the nest of Trieste. There is some commotion as the lone minstrel motions for everyone to be still. Someone is here, along our path ahead. He points into the distance. However, when you scan the horizon, everything is still. You see no sign of whomever the lone minstrel referred to. Still, he indicates caution. Strange. I do not believe I was mistaken. A tense moment passes, then another. Then, the lone minstrel tenses up. Our guest. He is there. You look towards where he signals, and then at last you see the cause of his concern. There's no mistaking who it is. Orlek, of course. Orlek stands there near motionless atop some forgotten rock jutting from the gnarled roots a fair distance away. He stands directly on the path of your black wagon. Yet he shows no sign of acknowledging the wagon's presence. He appears only to be waiting for something, likely for you all. The lone minstrel gets your attention, quietly. Reader, what do your senses tell you at this time? Orlek may have come with ill intent. I think he just wants to face us in a right again. Let's see what he has to say. There has to be a way to reason with Orlek and bridge differences between him and his former triumvirate. Perhaps he has come to negotiate. Perhaps you are correct. Let us try and make contact with him then as we proceed. You give the signal for the drive imps to start the wagon and head towards him. But just as you reach the point where Orlek once stood, it seems our guest has already departed. It's a little weird. Let us remain watchful as we proceed on course. Indeed, Orlek is nowhere to be found now. The unnerving encounter causes everyone to fall silent for the remainder of the trip. The wagon finally arrives at the nest of Trieste, where still there is no sign of Orlek, or your next adversaries for that matter. Your companions organize a quick search about the premises, leaving you to watch the wagon until the rite's commencement. Slug Market. Hey, you guys, where's your friend? You know, the big one with the horns. Likes frowning, stuff like that. Something happened there, or what? Heard a crazy story she just flew out on out of here or something. Anyways. While the Bear's triumvirate is banished, adversaries are slowed and cannot use abilities. So that's like Sandalwood's ability. Oh, it's just the way it goes sometimes, eh, Dad? Something is wrong. Someone is here, alone with you, always just in our cart. Give me a sec, dude. Let me read. Given present circumstances, now seems not the time to be focusing on the Book of Rites. Orlek seems to be examining various objects in the wagon. Whether he's noticed you, you cannot tell. What he is doing here and how he got in unnoticed, you cannot imagine. You watch him go about whatever he is doing, examining all sorts of things that you and your fellow exiles gathered on your journey. He shakes his head. All of these trinkets. This wagon. It is most different now. Welcoming, and yet I am unwelcome here, it seems. In my own wagon. He directs his gaze at you, acknowledging your presence for the first time. You, a mere shadow. Tell me something. Who are you to them? I'm their friend. You tell Orlek that you have traveled all across the downside with this group and count them as your trusted friends. It is a different group now than in his day. A friend, is it? Beware then, for the Nightwings do not always treat their friends with all due charity. Yeah, you got betrayed by that bitch. That was a one-off, dude. Relay to them a message for me, Shadow. Tell them, I shall have my night. He strides right past you towards the door, but then he turns to you again once more. I shall have my night. Nest of Trieste. The ashen effigy of the nightmare titan Sylvia's horse-headed looms as dark as ever on the precipices of Black Basin, where her chaotic influences sundered the land itself until it wept with fire. The very instant that our graceful friend Trieste Tithys finally laid to rest the greater titan with the power of the holy scepter of the empire, the stars shone down upon us all with blinding light. Trieste thought that she could bear her children in the warmth there, but alas. Now, the stars revisit that locale with regularity. The fissures in the rock do pose more danger than one-odded bite, but a summons to the nest is to be honored. Several of your companions return as you exit the wagon. You explain what happened. However, none of them saw Orlek. Most concerning, reader. Though, I am thankful you are well. Orlek, he always was a peaceful individual, and yet his disposition is much different now. Perhaps we had best inspect the wagon for any signs of tampering in light of these events. You and the others conduct an exhaustive search in and around the black wagon for any signs of objects missing or tampered with, as well as signs of damage or foul play. The search yields nothing. No one finds any sign that anything was moved or tampered with. Even the drive imps seem calm. The incident leaves you questioning your own recollection of what happened. You try to clear your mind, for the rite is soon now to commence. Weird. The night grows dark over the nest of Trieste, and you and your companions stand prepared. Edwin and your fellow exiles exchange expectant looks, some with each other, some with you, though everyone is rather quiet now and in one another's company. You sense a vague concern in Bulfred, perhaps at having to confront the Tempers once again. As for Bertrude, she seems very much at peace, awaiting for the stars to signal the commencement. She does not have to wait for very long. Instinctively, you clutch the Book of Rites as the stars above take hold of everyone's attention. The Tattered Mantle. After your adversaries grasp the orb, their aura shall slowly shrink rather than vanquish. Oh, that's whatever.
The Tattered Mantle. The infamous Reader returns, along with his remaining retinue of miscreants. You managed recently to rid yourself of yet another one. Your adversaries, the Tempers. As with you, they must be very desperate for their freedom. They shall not make it any easier from here.
Getting tougher and tougher, but we should be able to handle this. The adversaries whom you were to confront when instead you had your run-in with Orlek have assembled at the opposite side of the clearing, and their pyre burns bright. Ignarius emerges from the ranks of the Tempers and calls out to the rest of you. That was a low-down blow last time, Nightwings, sending some crazy demon on us in the middle of the night. Took damn near a week getting our wagon fixed. Maybe it wasn't you. Dunno. Don't care. Let's have it out then. We got some catching up to do for last time, after all. The Tempers seem all the more determined to prevail against you now, after Orlek denied their chance to stand against you last time.
Go on, then.
Ignarius. Past Bouncer. The Starry 8 was a popular spot that often got rowdy late at night. Geminian. Thirsty for new experiences. Crime Assault. Struck a ranking Commonwealth official when he was in no danger. Motive Anger. The records show that he showed no ability to restrain himself. 14 years. Born to a middling Commonwealth family, he got into trouble early and often, but found his calling in the Commonwealth's not entirely legal Red District. Most notably, he watched the doors at the Starry 8, an infamous tavern where high-ranking Commonwealth officials sometimes showed up incognito to blow off steam. One evening, a particularly belligerent guest got under his skin, so he gave him a tremendous thrashing. This guest turned out to be a wealthy chamberlain who used his connections to get him arrested and exiled. They just have a little bit more presence. Hamatha is amazing. And then who else? We gotta level up these guys, so let's go Bertrude.
Bertrude. If that is all, then.
Alright, you damn Nightwings, let's see what you got. This will be a little tough. I'm confident we can do fine, though.
'Twas the first banishment. The path to glory laid bare.
That's so strong. She's quick. Okay, we can't banish this time.
Crap. The orb slips from your clutches.
I'm gonna wait until one of them is gone, actually, before I do that.
Beauteous.
If they score on me.
Didn't see it coming. Empire weakens.
Gah. You Nightwings, you've been practicing, ain't ya? What about you, Iggy? You're just a washed-up old goat. You're through. How long are you gonna keep at this, getting weaker and weaker, worse and worse, huh? Come on then, Nightwings, finish it already, will ya? Sooner we wrap this up, sooner we all can catch some shut-eye and put an end to this damn day. Crap.
Ho ho ho. That Bertrude's faster than she looks.
Yep.
Your victory's at hand.
Okay, without banishing. It's gonna be really hard. Just knock me in the lava? Okay, she banished herself.
And it is done. Fine, yes, the Nightwings did prevail. Alas, that their adversaries failed to stop them. The right is ended.
We Tempers, we were damn unstoppable, but this again?
Bask now in the wisdom of the scribes. The ancient crone called Bertrude.
Thus does our grasp of ancient sorceries grow ever stronger still. While Bertrude's Pyre has more health than the adversary, she deals more damage. That's so good.
The secrets of the wild witch.
This mine, like, always has more health.
Be gone now from my sight.
Back at the Black Wagon, you find the lone minstrel examining your fellow exiles after they prevailed against the Tempers with ease. It is plain to you that none of them look well. The lone minstrel notices you there and turns to you. Reader, the faster turning of the cycle of the rites has put a strain on everyone. We have multiple cases of banishment sickness this time. What? It is fortunate that your other companions are available to conduct the coming rite, because I fear that the group here requires rest. You bid Hedwyn a swift recovery and he nods weakly. You exchange a look with Bertrude, who seems exhausted. Pamitha, yeah. You leave the lone minstrel to look after them and turn your attention to the stars. So we need to just alternate back and forth, I guess. %67% chance of success. We received news that one of Volfred's agents in the Commonwealth was taken captive. A setback to the plan, but it changes nothing for us, I suppose. 20-0, that's nuts. One more right till next liberation. Wow. Okay. Where do we go? Play against that asshole again, and or that asshole again. It's all the assholes. I like beating Manly, so we'll go fight him. The chastity and old Manly. He is without shame, the product of corruption that now festers in the Commonwealth. You and Volfred then go over what he knows of your next adversary. H. Manly Tinderstoff, the offspring of a semi-famous sap industrialist, he was born into wealth and lived in the lap of luxury, never having to fend for himself. When he came of age, he soon was offered cushy ambassador positions that required little more than a silver tongue to convince the Commonwealth that he was keeping busy. He soon grew so proficient at doing nothing much at all that he started spending all his family's riches to assert his fame and status. One day he attempted to pay off the wrong individual, a particularly stern Commonwealth diplomat who promptly turned him in and had him sent downriver. Manly was very disappointed by all this, but soon saw in it an opportunity, for he knew well that in the inner circles there were those who had gone into exile and returned. Thanks to his connections, he tracked down the Chastity deep in Wakingwood. He finagled his way into the Triumvirate using his well-worn skills. He in turn convinced himself that he would earn a position of great influence once he secured a way back to his home. He continues making hollow promises. Our plan is going to prevent such characters as Manly from coming to power, mark my word. For now, we ought prepare to seek the stars again. You bid Volfred a good night and take your leave. It's too late to prepare for flight. Well known is the treachery of the rope collar, who conspired against the Emperor of Sar and set in motion the Empire's collapse. The knave did journey to the downside after us. Our paths they never crossed, though we did meet his end. He wore the tattered mantle, wrought by the first Empress and worn in every generation hence. The living mantle whispered wisdom in its wearer's ear, but in the downside it cried out instead, and protest. When the rope collar retreated to his horrid isle far at sea, the mantle gained new life, conjoining with the native imps. The imp titan was born, and grasped then the rope collar in its first and last embrace. The Tempers. Myr the Horned One formed the Tempers upon his own ideals. Ingrained in his triumvirate are basic truths about the dual roles of strength and gentleness. The Horned One, he has had a dualistic nature for as long as he and I consider each a friend. The stories I am told about Myr's youth describe no one I know. All of us are capable of more. I once was an imp that could not write. Myr once was a man that could not think. The Tempers once were ordinary folk. Now they rise to greatness, always striving, never overreaching. They are not like Myr himself, rather they are what Myr wished he could be. Nothing on her mind. Lone Minstrel suggests that a good supply of stardust may be found. Faye senses the presence of the 8 scribes. That's always good. I don't care about Sir Deluge. Walk the 8 scribes' path. You and Faye wander together for a while through the soiled grounds of Fallowfield, sometimes in circles. What exactly she is looking for, she cannot explain. Eventually, however, she happens on something that never caught your notice. Look at this, mister. The scribes. They walked this very path, I think they did, and left this here for us. The object she procures does seem to emanate with some sort of faint and ancient power. Receive the wisdom trace. Grants an exile plus 1,000 enlightenment. That's cool. Those sensitive to the presence of the 8 scribes may see traces of them here and there. Who do we give that to? Probably Volfred. Or Burchard. Burchard for sure, actually. The strange designs of the 8 scribes, their everlasting sorceries are strong within this land, and we shall yet make further use of them, we think. While Burchard's Pyre has less, she does more. Nah, we won't need that. While slithering, Burchard uses 50% less stamina and moves more quickly. Yes. She was already fast as hell. Oh, we had a scribe trial too. Wilfred. You asked Sandra to administer one of her special trials for Wilfred. That fancy talking sap, you mean? I shall be interested to see if he has learned something since we last sparred like this. Then let us bring him forth. Soon Wilfred appears in heat of the summons. So it is my turn then, is it? Then let's see what we can do, my boy. Saps such as Wilfred have powerful defensive abilities, but can't cast their auras or jump. Well, they can burrow. Or whatever he does. Apparition Sandra appears and unfastens her mask. Listen well, Sap, you answer to me here. As you will, O Sandra the Unseeing. Proper as ever then, though I wonder if you have the wherewithal that you project. Show me then what you can do without the benefit of those whom you would lead. And let us see if you and your lovely reader have reached a thorough understanding as of yet. Alright. Gotta remember how to play this guy. He's not very good. Kinda hard to use, to be honest. Alright, I'm dead. Oh, get that, fool. God, he's so slow. Maybe I should use the sap offensively. I don't know. This guy sucks. Oh, they just broke it. What? Go, go, go! Oh, they have really low respawn, so... Yeah, I should just try and kill them. Oh, I was so close. Yay. So that's good. If I can use my sap like that, easy. I'm grateful for the privilege of your time, good Sandra. Flattery shall never get you anywhere with me, Sap. Nonetheless, your performance was sufficient and you passed my test. Congratulations. Let's see what we get. I'd not seen that Sandra in some time. She's not changed a bit, but it would seem she left something for us. Lose... bow. Bulford's blink ability transports him farther. That's what I was hoping for, actually. Wow. Sweet. It's like much farther, too. We'll upgrade it a little bit as well. 80% farther. There we go. Hers is already max. Hers is max. Don't have Bertrude's yet. We'll give him more infinite stamina because that's really good. Oh, she had something on her mind as well. Why are you doing this? Reaching out to me again, like this? I've been abandoned in this blasted rock more times than you could count, reader, and each time I've laughed it off, like so. I fear it will be different this time. Before I knew that someone else would come around and pick up where the previous idiot left off, but now... She scoffs and falls silent for a time. Well, it seems that there may not be a next time after this. If what I am to understand about the stars out there is even a half-truth. So then, I can anticipate an eternity of utter solitude, without even the blasted rites to keep me company. Understand that, while I may be an apparition in a glass to you, I yet retain a shred of self, and do not happily foresee that outcome. And yet, you keep on coming back to me like this. If this is all in service of a torment, then you are most cruel, oh lovely reader. Commendably so, I have to say. So then, am I to understand you wish to spend more time with me thus, knowing full well the stars are soon to put an end to this little affair? As if in answer to her question, you feel what seems to be the Beyonder crystal itself. Stay with her a while longer. You focus your mind and remain where you are, there with Sandra, in the confines of the Beyonder crystal, and remain there with her for some time. No words need to be exchanged between the two of you, and in the darkness there for once she does not feel alone. Soon enough, however, she bids you to depart. You shall leave those idiots of yours listless if you remain here too long. Be gone already, and let me know if you have need of me. Till our next appointment.
You are nothing, reader. Nothing but a mindless simpleton. Your every action is a stain upon the legacy of the 8 scribes. The rites have been a long-held secret to keep out those such as you.
Alright, asshole. You wake from what little sleep you managed this past night. Once more the voice tormented you within your dreams. You attempt to rid your memory of it. If the voice truly is that of the Archjustice Androboles the Ninth himself, as Wolford indicated, then none of you are likely to have received too warm a welcome, should you regain your freedom. Alright, let's go beat up Manly. Here in the darkest corners of Flagging Hands, you encounter a messenger imp. Sweet, Jadariel. The news this time pertains to Jadariel. You learn Jadariel's past transgressions have all been forgiven. She soon was to be reinstated on the blood border, but on the presumption that she wanted her old status back. In fact, she was offered an especially prestigious leadership position in the First Veil, for a demon such as she could not be seen in the streets. An elite blood border platoon shrouded in secrecy other than the famous results of its operations. The Commonwealth's veiled leaders always were surrounded by sentinels in similar garb. But she refused the gesture, rather bluntly, the report suggests. Instead, she sought Wolford's agents, as well as several of her former fostered sons and daughters, and so the ranks of the revolution grew stronger. The last part of the messenger imp's news must have been damaged in transit, though it appears to be in Jadariel's own words. All you can tell is that it says, "Oh wait." You thank the messenger imp for relaying this information. Your companions are excited to discuss the news. Having someone of Jadariel's will and stature with us on the other side shall pave the way towards a brighter future. Wonder what the rest of her message said. There's nothing she can't handle. I miss her bad sometimes, but I'm glad she's alright. We can envision it, a demon such as she set loose within the Commonwealth. Do you think she still has her horns now that she's back up there? The news of Jadaro's liberations fill you and your fellow exiles with newfound resolve. Hope. Oh, hey guys, what brings you here again? Let me guess. The finest deals and all the downside. That's what, am I right? Don't need that. Don't need any of your junk. Let's do it. Everything is prepared and night is just beginning to take hold above the gloomy hollows of the Pit of Malith when Volfred gets your attention. Reader, I suppose you might remember our first meeting with that manly Tinderstoff. He would be mortified, of course, if you forgot. I would say that he is an embarrassment to my kind, but unfortunately I've known many others like him. We are disconnected people, I suppose. Anyway, when we last saw him, you might recall that I avoided him. We're not good acquaintances or anything, but he knows enough people in high places that he could be harmful to our plan, should he know of my involvement, and so... I shall have to be discreet here, as I am with the Nightwings once again. I can no longer hide from him outright. Perhaps, though, he shall take me for a common sap. Anyhow, it seems to me we have a right to conduct. Oh God. No more need to take on disadvantages.
Rita, I am still very cross with you, you know.
I don't even know what I did to this guy.
You a worthy heir, not just to the legacy of the Nightwings, but to the future of the Commonwealth.
He's just pissed at me.
That traitor Volfred. Only a fool would be seduced by his audacious promises and his dangerous ideas. That, dear reader, would make you a fool.
Geniuses are always seen as fools before they succeed.
Explain it thus, so even you could understand. Now for this blasted right. Some of us still have our duties to uphold.
My, what's have we here? Why, the Nightwings come to grace us with their presence once again. Are you perhaps intent upon humiliating us even more after last time? Yes, I am. You sense Volfred reaching out to you. Reader, let us indulge him for the time. Perhaps he shall reveal something we can use to provide a disincentive for his meddling. Just let him keep on talking. I shall attempt to remain hidden. And my, the colors of those raiments. I mean, they are rather gaudy in this light, I have to say. Though I mean no offense at this, of course. So, do you suppose the rite is going to commence soon? As much as I enjoy our chats like this, I do have to get going soon. If you must know why. I'm expecting an important message. From the other side, no less. Come dawn. I hear something is brewing out there, some sort of unrest. So yes, it's a very important message, sent all this way by one of those imp couriers. And I must say, those little things, their services are certainly not cheap. Though I'm sure that I could get you a good deal of their services if you wish, perhaps to contact a loved one back home. All I ask, of course, is that you stand aside and let the chastity prevail as well we ought. For I have a date with Destiny not long from now, upon the fall of Solium. He continues talking for some time until at last the rite is set to start. Look at this wonderful assembly of exiles come from all different corners. Such a colorful retinue you Nightwings have. You know, I heard the most preposterous rumor about you, that you were harboring an especially notorious criminal, one who has designs upon the Commonwealth itself. He looks right at Volfred. But I could not imagine such outlandish tales could possibly be true. Anyhow, I so would like to meet everyone here. Hello, good Nightwings. I am H. Manly Tinderstoff, and truly it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Manly has intruded on your privacy as you set to choosing your triumvirate. He could not be less welcome. He seems to be searching for someone in your ranks. politely ask him to leave. You suggested Manly that perhaps he ought to check on his own triumvirate in the keep moments prior to the rite. Oh yes, of course, of course. I was just taking the opportunity to bid all you salutations, for I so enjoy getting to meet my fellow exiles face to face like this. Yes, yes, there may be rules against this type of thing, but who's counting, am I right? I'm sure the scribes wouldn't mind if they were here. Anyway, now that you mention, I ought to go check on my wonderful colleagues. Manly leaves at last, leaving you to focus on the rite.
Choose now your band of traitors.
Past ambassador, the Westerly Woods retain its sovereignty for complicated reasons he would be happy to explain. The saps ushered in a new age of industry for the Commonwealth in exchange for many benefits. Thirsty for new experiences, crime bribery, he attempted illegally to grease the wheels of the Commonwealth lending house. Motive self-gain. The records show he sought a seat on the Commonwealth Council because I deserve it. 20 years exiled. Wow. That's the farthest, or the longest so far. Okay. So we already have the 3 that we have to use. Oh, she's still usable though. I guess because we only have 5 people? I don't know.
Faye. Tamitha. Wolfred. It is done.
Let us maintain discretion more than usual. Manly is only friendly when he wants something. Because my colleagues of the Chastity and I, we have a trick or two we think shall take you by surprise. Just watch. We'll see.
Begin. The Night Wings are first to strike the adversary's flame.
My, but you seem rather angry over something, is that so? Or maybe it's just me. I hate you, Manly! It's so easy.
Has doused the flame. Sublime. Now for the Empire. The Empire shan't survive much more of that. Now end the ceremony. All for naught. Alas.
Damn.
They perished.
Ah. Got him.
A rude predicament for the Chastity. And it is done. The Night Wings prevail.
Yeah, they
They
do.
vastly outperformed their adversaries. Thus end this night's proceedings.
My word, how could this happen to me? You deceitful, ignorant, utterly uncouth pack of fools. Have you any idea what you've done? Keep spouting off like that, Manly, and you shall reveal all we need to know. You harbor such a fear within your heart there, don't you? Coming from the aristocracy and now in exile. How they must speak of you. What would they think of you if you don't get out? Or even if you do? Wolfred remains deep in thought, studying his adversary. There, I see. I see now. Then Wolfred recedes into shadows. What? My head. Who? Oh, I believe there must be some mistake. I have to go. Ta-ta. Fine evening to you now. It's been a pleasure. Genuinely so. Manly stumbles away in a stupor. And there he goes. I've lifted certain burdens from him for the time. A bit of mercy for his sake, for my people's sake. As well, it should ensure he has no lasting memory of our encounter here, or running into me. Now let's be off before he catches up with us again.
There is much to learn from this experience. Even a traitor heart like Hamatha.
Good a time as any to say thanks for having me along.
I eagerly await our next such outing.
There proves little time for rest at the Black Wagon after your fellow exiles bested chastity with great prowess. Those afflicted with the banishment sickness seem to be doing better, at least in express gratitude to those three. Just then the lone minstrel appears before you. No words escape his lips. You can guess full well what he has come to indicate to you and follow him back out into the darkness. The stars above seem to be few and fading, and yet one still shines, defiant. We're sending Headwind back this time. I don't want him to get stuck down here. He's too much of a bro. Chance at liberty presents itself again. I do not yet know whom to choose this time. The group is so accommodating, yet I know they look to me to make the best decision for us all. The accusers. You notice that the lone minstrel is standing there with you, regarding the night sky. The Gate Guardian and I. We have paid witness to the liberation rites upon the fall of Solium for a long time. We have seen so much. And so I'm a bit taken aback as all to see something which I have never seen. You look upon the stars together for a while, then. I wish for you good fortune, and the wisdom of the scribes on your ascent. The lone minstrel leaves you there alone under the night. It has grown very late and you need rest. Going north. Your flight takes you near to where you breached past Stormwall and Deathless Tempest. Beyond lies the Deathless Tempest, veiling the farthest reaches of the downside. Attempting to cross is a popular way to throw caution to the wind and not live to tell the tale of it. With the climate and the downside intensifying, you wonder if the storm has spilled forth from its confines and started to ravage other regions of the land. Since Pamitha... Oh. Something appears different now about the sacred mountain west of here. The lands near Emperor's Ascent and Emperor's Fall appear ashen. A gap through the nameless lower summits beneath Mount Aladil. Throughout his youth, the prideful Emperor Myr misunderstood how close he came to ruin. On the other hand, the once precarious regions below, which you know as Temple Highroad and Temple Cistern, seem swept clean by the elements. Headwind observes all this alongside you. Some weather we've been having lately. It's like all the downside's getting ready for the rites to end. Looks like we can make landing closer to Scribe's Day this time. I guess I'll take it as good news. Less time we spend having to climb the mountain, the more chance we'll have to rest up for the rite itself. I'll go tell everyone to get ready to land. Bulford gains favor, Pamitha gains favor. So we're gonna do Headwind, and then I'll probably do Pamitha because she's great, and Faye. So let's go to Pamitha. Actually, Faye's already a pretty high level. I think they're all above 3 though. You arrive once more among the sublime grandeur of Mount Aladil. It appears that Lendl and the accusers have already arrived along another route. Oh, Burchard, sweet. Ooh, she got something else on her mind. Burchard, let's get you a talisman. The old bog crone, then. She does have some potential, I should think. More so than most of those with whom you share that little residence. We sense that thou hast need of us. Apparition Sandra appears, unfastens her mask. You answer to me here. Bleh. How very eloquent. May your vast experience exceed your knack for pleasant conversation. I trust that you shall have little trouble here without the benefit of your more communicative friends. Now come. Alright, Bertrude's amazing, so we should beat some ass. Just against all the little guys. Whoops. Crap. Damn it. Oh my god. Those little jumps. So hard to dodge them. What the heck? Why was that guy's aura so big? That guy's presence is massive. I think it's because he's connected to his buddies there. Ah. A simple test, undeserving to be called a challenge. I ought to fail you just for gloating, Crone, but these are not my rules, and your performance was sufficient. Congratulations. Good riddance to that mouthy wraith. Melith's tail. Bertrude's blast pierces through solid objects. That's really good. Okay. So we're sending Hedwyn back, so we're just going to upgrade his vow all the way. Please, reader, leave me be. I ask that you leave me be. Go about your business. Go, watch the stars day out and get your idiots their freedom. And you be sure to tell that herald with whom you consort that Sandra the Unseeing did her job. You tell him that. Perhaps that way you shall put in a good word, and the scribe shall finally provide for me a bit of reprieve. I do not know what else to do, reader. But you remain with her, letting her draw whatever strength and comfort from your thoughts as you are able to afford. That was kind of you. However, let us conduct our business. I care not for your pity. Do not come visit me again like this without my asking. I insist. With some time to spare after having landed, you joined Pamitha on a brief expedition to the monument of Jomur. Why bother, Pamitha? With any part of this, they're using you, same as you're using them, you know. But you're not using them. You're not using them. You're not using them. You're there because you want to be. You're there because you want to be. You return to the wagon once she has finished paying her respects. You have occasion once more to pursue your vocations. Pamitha is staring out the window as you approach. I miss flying, reader darling. Take it from me, it feels as good as you'd expect. It's not enough for those Commonwealth brutes to cast us down here. If they can get their fingers on us, they make sure we never fly again as once we did. All while calling an act of mercy. Let me ask you something, You've learned a thing or two. What have your studies taught you of my kind? We share a common ancestor. You understand that long ago there was only one tribe. They flew together and conquered the known world, but some of their descendants were born different. These wingless ones had little choice but tend the land with their hands of flesh. Over time, the wingless were disavowed, abandoned. It was said that they were born under dark stars. In time, they formed the Empire, and they fought back. Not all the winged and the wingless were at odds, and famous harps such as Saint Trieste Tithys proved kinship could be possible. Nonetheless, old hatreds are not easily assuaged. I don't know. This is fairly accurate to our account of things. So, in a manner, you yourself are brother to me. My kind certainly aren't known for their good sense of humor, I can tell you that. My little tongue got me into no small amount of difficulty until I learned to keep it well under control. The mountains I come from, the views there certainly are something, but there's a bleakness to it too. Being surrounded only by those consumed by the desire to avenge. We're very proud like that. Everybody's vying to be the strongest, to kill the most of you. That way we might just get a shot with the prince, continue the line if he even exists. Your understanding is that the males of the harps are all gone, though perhaps one remains. They mate as poison spiders do and would slay each other in their sleep. Imagine that being the best case scenario, darling. She shakes her head. Anyway, I was just thinking I rather enjoy the traveling we've done. A change of scenery does me some good. Perhaps I'll stick to wandering after all this. In fact, I have a fancy for some wandering right now, if you'll excuse me. She heads out of the wagon into the sublime grandeur of Mount Aladil. Mentor? Bertrude needs it. You and Bertrude review what observations you have made thus far about the various triumvirates you have confronted on your journey. She has some keen insights about some of them. Those who deign confront us, we shall give increasing reasons to beware. Scribe's Gate. Again you stand before Scribe's Gate, where the Gate Guardian regards you above all. The exiles of the Nightwings, you must know by now that once the stars no longer shine, the right shall cease. For now step forth. Except for you, Tarek, you stay right there. Greetings, Celeste. The Nightwings are prepared, and as for me, you shall not blaspheme under the gate again. Do we understand each other, Tarek? Aye, Celeste. I apologize for my behavior before. I shall adhere more strictly to my duties. Be sure of it. Now, each of you come forth. Please state your names and what it is that you seek. The 8 scribes bid the Nightwings welcome, go forth with glory. Am I free to accompany them, Celeste, or shall I remain here? She looks at him a while. You are free to accompany them, Tarek. As you will, Celeste. Until we meet upon the summit, then. Oh, it's you guys. Well, come on in, I guess. You got here right on time, because I was just thinking maybe I would close a little early here, you know? Business has been real good, and everything it's just been a little slow in spots. A little slow is all. So I was thinking maybe I should do a sale? What would you say to that? Go for it. You suggest to Falcon Ron that a sale might be a good idea to liven things up a bit. Well, I guess maybe that's a way to look at things, and so... Then am I going to think about it, stew on it a while, but no promises, okay? So are you buying something? Oh, what the hell was he talking about? Let's see if I can buy anything from him, just to make sure. Ah, great, you guys. I knew you were discerning customers. Now you enjoy that one, okay? And remember, I still got the others too. Though these ones there are real popular, and so no refunds on these guys, you understand? But they're real good. Alright. Got a sale. You guys have a good day out there. Let's do it. Once more, the time has come for this liberation rite, where one among you can go free if you prevail. As your companions gather under the fall, awaiting the commencement of this vital rite, the lone minstrel finds you and regards you in his calm fashion. Night is falling. These moments prior to each commencement, I must admit they give me pause, knowing so much is at stake during the trial that is to come. Tell me something, would you, reader? To ease the waiting for us both. I have traveled far and wide, even beyond these lands. However, the Commonwealth, I know only through word and song. I sometimes think on what life would be like out there. If you were not ensnared within this place and free to roam your country, what would you have done with all your days and years rather than striving here under the stars? You yet feel an obligation to correct the Commonwealth towards a better course. Perhaps it was inevitable that you were to be cast into exile. You cannot abide the state of things within the Commonwealth. There's so much needing to be changed there. It seems then that you would face a greater challenge there than even here, your Commonwealth. It sounds to be a country rather set upon its ways. Of course, that is the nature and ambition of the plan of which you are a part. May your actions here help bring about the future you desired on the other side. Just then the lone minstrel looks forth and you see that it is time. The stars above, though faint, begin to burn.
The stars that yet remain aflame align once more over the sacred.
I'm still suspicious of Hedwyn, but he's a bro, so we're gonna free him.
Scribes ordained the glorious tradition in which you now participate. The glorious tradition which you and that instigator Wolfred seek to undermine. It is my sincerest hope your adversaries in this liberation rite achieve instead what they desire. May the accusers quickly quench those flames of yours. Let us get on with the proceedings then.
Poised as ever, Lendl steps forward and reaches for his mask. I was branded Lendl the Liar. Once I reclaim my liberty, that name shall be forgotten, and my rightful station in the Commonwealth shall be restored. Nightwings, you may have prevailed against me when last we met here upon this sacred site, but the many years since then have taught me much. I shall not fail again. Yet you still hold much resentment for your adversaries, is that not so, Lendl? Resentment is too kind a word for it. They are cheaters, one and all. Unfairly favored by those scribes, while those such as myself must struggle endlessly for such a chance. Now come, my accusers, let us vanquish those undeserving oafs and prove now to the scribes that they were fools to favor the likes of them. I'm ready. 2 demons? Gosh.
Whom do you endeavor to return?
Edwin, you're up.
Edwin!
This is my shot to go free, but I can't just leave the rest of you.
Who shall stand
Well, you
with
will,
him?
and you'll be happy.
Kanatha.
Alright, I'll see what I can do for him, reader.
Bertrude.
We shall lend our support to that one, then.
It is done.
Come then, Nightwings, and look upon me one last time, for by dawn I shall be free, while you all wallow in the terrible defeat we have in store for you. Yeah, we'll see about that.
Commence.
Damn it. Now, accusers, grant me your auras and your anger, that we may finally secure our rightful victory against these demons whom we face. He is channeling the auras of his triumvirate, and their strength combines with his. This must be the aura game. A secret technique developed by the accusers to ensure their victory. Oh, that's cool. Boom. Oh, so he's shielded now. Ooh, that's tough. What? I don't think I can fly over the Pyre, it doesn't work. There we go. Huh. He's not doing anything. Ah, shit. No, I got stuck.
And there it is, at last. The Nightwings proved their worth. Their adversaries they defeated utterly. Thus ends the liberation rite. And thus the scribes have chosen the exile appointed by the Nightwings shall be free, absolved of all misdeeds, return to glory in the Commonwealth. His adversary and all others shall remain to carry out their rightful sentences.
Blast you, Nightwings. Again, you cheated me. Have you no pride at all in this tradition? What do you mean cheated you? We just beat your ass. Fair and square. We did it. Then, I guess that means I have to go. I broke my vow to him that we would all go free together. Reader, my friend, why would you do this? Will you ever forgive me? Connie, wait for me. Wait for me. He remained silent for a moment longer, then... Listen to me, all of you. I will not forget this. If there's anything at all that I can do back on the other side to help the rest of you, then I'm going to find it, and I'm going to do it. And, at the very least, I will do everything I can to make sure that by the time more of you come join me back at home, that it'll be a better place for all of us. Look, I don't have long now, so just thank you, all of you. I won't forget this. Then he plunges out of sight into the shimmer pool. His voice is audible but growing faint. It's happening. Goodbye, my friends. Reader, everyone, goodbye. Until we see each other. Hedwyn earns back his freedom.
Godspeed, Hedwyn. Perhaps the scribes are watching even now. Watching as their glorious tradition draws to a close.
I want to get Pamitha back, too. Hopefully I get the chance. She didn't level? Wow. She's 20 away.
Now take your execrable companions someplace else.
You prevailed in the liberation against the accusers. Already does the Black Wagon feel quieter than usual without Hedwyn, who returned to the Commonwealth. His was the first friendly face you encountered in the downside. You overhear some of your companions reflecting on this. He's gone, just as I was getting to like him. We shall make do without him here. You wonder who, if anyone among you, shall be the next to go. Our plan approaches a key turning point. Let us ensure it soon comes to fruition, not only for ourselves here, but for our companions and our loved ones in the Commonwealth. 76%. But we have little time now for reflection into this. Look yonder, reader. The stars demand we go already. Oh, it looks like there's going to be one more liberation. You turn your attention to the glimmer of the stars. Their current rate of disappearance suggests another liberation rite shall be coming very soon. Sweet. Next is Pamitha. It is becoming more and more evident just how few liberation opportunities remain. One right till the next one, wow. I expect that they shall soon present themselves one after the other. Then let us make ready and end this. Who sucks the worst? The Fate. 4 and 15. We're gonna go see Tamitha. Now, the stars bid you to return to the Isle of Kaelmer, where you shall stand against the Essence once again. Your adversary, Tamitha Thane, likely knows the cycle of the rites is drawing to a close. Her last remaining chance to earn the favor of the scribes and then regain her freedom likely hinges on the outcome of this next rite. The cycle of the rites is soon to end. The exiles of the downside are striving to be free. Your adversaries, your companions, even you yourself are running out of time. On history. This book cannot accompany you, if you should earn your freedom. It is to remain here for your successors, for it is bound together inextricably with us. There is no sorcery, however, to prohibit you from spreading forth its teachings. We charge you to go forth and share what you have learned along your path. Reveal not the rites themselves nor the existence of this book. Transcend its bounded limitations, for it cannot be transcribed. Any such attempts shall fail. Beware of those who would dare to read it on the other side. Under their guise of seeking wisdom may yet lurk a much darker desire to undo that which we strive to do. Following Hedwyn's liberation, you find Wolfred smoking at his pipe, his eyes averted. He looks up and smiles. Hello, my boy. Excellent work back there. Thank you for your perseverance. Though, I was just reflecting on how very fortunate I've been in all of this. Not just me, but really all of us who had a chance to stand with Hedwyn here. Ours is admittedly a somewhat desperate plan. It was vital to me. Should the Nightwings arise again, that it be under proper care and guidance. I was just thinking about how well Hedwyn served in that capacity. Whatever is to be the outcome of all this, no doubt his presence shall be missed. My agents and I, we were unsure of him at first. A common boy like that, completely unacquainted with the rites. But, in the end, I felt that he was worth a shot. Someone like him. Sincere, determined, with loyal friends and desperate to get home. Those qualities spoke volumes. Then he falls silent. I have every faith that he shall strive on our behalf now in the Commonwealth, and it is my hope that he yet finds the one he sought. You and Wolfred speak little more of Hedwyn for now. You're left wondering what shall become of him. See if she says anything. At dawn, your companions are prepared to depart. Everyone is silent. Your travels are to take you back to the Isle of Kaelmer, but soon after the stars shall draw you here again. Again, we return to the Isle of Kalimur, hidden in this storm. I've met very few who know of it all. At all, much less have walked upon its stones and sands. The disconcerting tales of the demise of Kalimur Ropecaller, who met his end here on the Isle. The imps that swarm and breed across the place today seem not to mind. Having paid witness to the rites firsthand, they have become rather obsessed with it. I sometimes wonder if it is more difficult to conduct the rites with such a boisterous audience. May the essence find their way shortly, so that the imps may have the contest they desire. What? Gaze into the abyss. Having arrived in the steady currents of Sharp Shoal, you find yourself lost in thought, watching the horizon, then... Pardon me, my boy, but I believe it's getting late. Why don't you come in? Wolfred leads you back to the wagon's cabin where the others are waiting. Together you share an entertaining conversation and a decent meal, courtesy of Wolfred, who caught a fresh catch earlier. Everybody gains hope. Hey guys, come on in. Say now, whatever happened to that smiley headwind guy? Did he really get out of here like I've been hearing, or what? Just not a lot of customers today. Pamitha finds you as everyone is preparing for the coming right against the Essence. Despite this meaning yet another confrontation with her blood sister, she seems very calm. I know what you're thinking, reader darling, so let me assuage? I messed this up earlier, I just don't know. Any misgivings you might have, it'll be strictly business between me and Tamitha this time. Here, let's get to the bottom of this.
Assuage.
Okay, assuage. Got it. Believe me, I know there's nothing I can do for her. I am nothing to her, but I can still be of use to all of you. I got Tamitha in here as I was tired of our kind throwing ourselves against Commonwealth lances. Maybe this plan of ours might finally ensure an end to all that. She flies off to join the others just as night begins to fall and usher in the stars. Reader.
It seems the stars once more have mustered wherewithal to usher in the rites. The sky grows dimmer by the day. An age is ending. Surely you must know by now that you shall never all be free. Yet still you struggle to fulfill some senseless plan. But I digress, of course. Some of us still honor the tradition. Some of us hold dear the teachings of the scribes.
Once more does this Commonwealth filth darken an already inauspicious night. Pamitha remains steady alongside your fellow exiles and shows no response to being in the presence of her blood sister once again. Tamitha looks right at her the entire time she speaks, but never once acknowledges her directly. But there is no more need for any talk between our kind. We are forever at cross purposes. No further proof is needed than these circumstances under which we meet. Pamitha does not acknowledge her. You sense only that she is focused on the right, set to commence at any moment now.
Who shall besmirch the Nightwing's name?
Faye to level her. And then these two. Because they're close to leveling.
Wolfred.
He doesn't like Wolfred.
Bertrude. With that out of the way.
We await the ancient rites commencement. Come forth, you Commonwealth scum. Sisters, show them no quarter. We're gonna beat that ass.
Commence.
crap.
No mercy shown
Whoa, he goes far now.
by the scribes.
Have Burchard banish 6 adversaries.
Do you
I can do that.
believe you can prevail in this?
There's 2. 3.
None left unscathed. Who?
Woo! Nice throw.
Your flames grow weak. Out with you all.
2 again.
'Twas a crushing blow against their pyre.
How patently absurd to be losing once more to this filth. Is this what you wanted, Pamitha? To get inside my head? Damn you, that I cannot get you out. Ever the burden, little sister, ever the burden. Stand ready then, you dregs of the Commonwealth. My sisters and I shall vanquish you here as our sisters on the other side shall tear apart your nation.
Glorious.
Dang it.
That ought to wake you up.
We needed Burchard back anyway for the money.
There goes Tabitha.
Got it.
Bertrude plunged into the adversary's pyre. Once more like that, and we are finished here. If I were that one, I'd be rather angry. And it is done. The Nightwings managed not to prevail. May their next adversaries fare a little better. The ceremony is complete.
Defeated, are we? Then I hope that you shall see your Commonwealth again with your own eyes so that you can watch it burn.
The rites do tend to teach something of trust.
I feel so overwhelmed. I think because the scribes, I think they speak to me and lift me up whenever I begin to think that I'm going to fall.
I knew someday that even Wolfred there would see the light.
Long did I bide my time in anticipation that one day the Nightwings would reform under a common cause. To be part of it myself, it nourishes the spirit. Give a sapling a larger aura.
Apparently, the exiled Bertrude is committed to the path.
This land, so rife with eldritch knowledge, long forbidden in the Commonwealth, we learn the stuff of fear itself. Once per rite, after saluting adversaries, Burchard turns them into fast-moving howlers. That's dumb. We'll get Hawkzz to defeat.
Now take your sordid business someplace else.
Inside the wagon after defeating the Essence, Wolfred is discussing aspects of the outcome with the others, when the Lone Minstrel seeks you out. Pardon the interruption, reader, though I need to ask a moment of your time while the night is clear enough for you to see. Please come have a look outside. Perhaps the news of your next destination may further stir the hearts of your companions. Among what stars yet remain shining in the night, one of them now burns as bright as ever you have seen. Already. 79%. By now, most of the triumvirates whom we have faced no longer have any real chance of earning sufficient favor to regain their freedom. Perhaps we were always due to share the same fate. The dissidents. The cycle turns even more quickly now, until such time as it shall shudder to a halt. He makes a sound then, almost like a laugh. I forgive myself, reader. I should not say such things. The scribes, they would say that one ought focus on the path in front of him. When we set forth to walk a long and labored path, it can be all too much. If we stand back and look upon it as a whole, we may well decide to turn around. But if we begin to walk, whilst casting down our gaze and whilst resisting well the urge to look too far ahead, we may make steady, careful progress. Soon enough, we may arrive where we endeavored. The lone minstrel bids you a good evening. You had best retire for the night. For when first daylight comes, it shall be time again to take to the skies. Silencio me prances. They got a cool language for this game. Oh boy, Orlek. Your wagon reels from the impact of some sort of massive object slamming into it mid-flight. False night wings. Orlek calls down to all of you from atop his wagon. Again, you seek to climb that cursed mountain beneath us. Again, you seek to take my rightful place. I shall send you crashing down to it, that you might fall as I have. He stares down at all of you. But I shall not. Rather, we shall meet upon the summit, ere the last cycle of the rites is ended. Until then. We're gonna beat his ass. Wolfred shall gain favor, Faye shall gain favor. We're releasing Pamitha, and we'll probably take in Bertrude and Faye. I'm not a huge fan of... Well, no, Wolfred is good now with that huge root. So we'll probably do Bertrude, Wolfred, and Pamitha. So let's go for Wolfred. You make landing on the sacred Mount Aladil after your encounter with Orlek. Orlek spoke the truth. He has a right to gain the summit. When the time comes, Celeste shall deem him worthy and shall let him pass. While he has transgressed against the rites, he has also already been anointed and prevailed. Nothing is written in the book on this, and liberty ought already be his. For the time, it seems that he has not yet traveled to the summit. Perhaps he is still making preparations. When exactly Orlek intends to make good on his promise, he did not make clear. For now, you are to confront Barker and the dissidents upon the summit, but first you may prepare. Later that afternoon, you accompany Wolfred through the ancient formations of Temple High Road to the monument of Luce Glorian. Faith is all that brought me all this way, and yet I have great fear about the outcome of our plan. 79%. So many here and in the Commonwealth have put their faith in it that, should we fail... But no, we will not have failed. We will not have failed. You return to the wagon after he has finished paying his respects. The summit awaits, but first there is time to continue practicing your vocations. Wolfred gains +2 presence for the next rite. We'll do some mentoring. Doesn't really matter who. Let us then discuss these matters which you believe would be of benefit. You and Bertrude go over what you know of the celestial landmarks you've been to and how their properties impact the Nightwings and the rites. You can tell she knows many of them well by now. These landmarks strewn about this cursed land, too many are too dry upon the flesh. Scribe's Gate. Here in the quiet solitude of Mount Aladil, you encounter a messenger imp. Oh, it's Hedwyn. Sweet. The news this time pertains to Hedwyn, whom you liberated. You learn Hedwyn returned safely to the Commonwealth, where he was clothed and welcomed, his past transgressions all forgiven. He was to be groomed for a leadership position of his choice, whether on the Council or the Blood Border, each equally as lucrative and secretive as well. However, he refused, and before the stunned council members could do anything about it, he left them. He since made contact with Wolfred's agents and is working with them. Per the messenger imp custom, the last part of the message was transcribed from Hedwyn, word for word, and says, "Keep going, I'll see you here." You thank the messenger imp. May that boy's spirit infect the lot of you as what a plague. I always thought Hedwyn was looking for someone out there back home. Do you think he found her? I wonder if he'll ever find the one he fell for. Well done, Hedwyn, my boy. I knew you could do it. The news of Hedwyn's liberation fills you and your fellow exiles with newfound resolve. Wish Hedwyn luck. Okay, be right back. I'm gonna pee before we get going.
Escutin Hawkzz.
Salutiam, Ceres.
Greetings, Celeste. The Nightwings are prepared, and afterwards I would have words with you in private, if you please.
Simnaterus.
It seems to me rather late for words now, Tarek, but I shall hear them once your charges cross the gate.
Vorana Kramtus.
Now, all of you come forth. Please state your names and what it is you seek whilst crossing Scribe Gate. Once more your companions cross the gate, one after another, and once more you follow them in turn. Celeste regards you all and waves you through. And Tarek? Aye, Celeste? You may rejoin the others in a while. For now, I would hear those words of yours. Certainly, Celeste. Everyone, I shall see you shortly.
Hands open wide. Hear the song of gentle morning.
It's gotten real cold again up here, but it's worth it, let me tell you. Got a lot of customers been stopping by. Okay, I may have been exaggerating just a little since I've been waiting here a little while, I guess, but are you buying anything?
Weeping flowers hide from the song
Oh, these are permanent. Wow.
gentle morning. The lost and lonesome bride. Now
We can give someone presents for the next rite.
through hill and valley.
We're taking Wolfred.
Canyons open wide.
And, we'll give him the presents.
Songs of gentle morning for his lost and lonesome bride.
Downside dining? How to sustain oneself with food and drink in such a place as this. The less said of it, the better. Do not complain, observe, and above all, keep moving. Sources of sustenance avail themselves to those with keener senses. In warmer climates, search the ground at break of day for subterraneans. In colder places, dig for them, give them purpose. Drinking pools are rare, but moisture in abundance outside of the sandfolds. Some is poisonous. Take only what you need. The downside limits any opportunity for access, but it provides enough amenities to meet the needs of life. One who withstands it cannot help but feel a sense of gratitude. That's random.
Marin Frantes. Du jare beramtas.
The time has come again to deliver one of your fellow exiles to a homecoming in the Commonwealth. Lone Minstrel has returned and approaches you as you wait the signal from the stars. There's something that I wish to ask you, reader, something which ordinarily would not be my place to discuss in any detail. You've observed the stars. If you would not mind my asking you in such a direct manner, how many liberation rites are you supposing yet remain? I think it's 2. You tell him the only logical deduction which you have been able to make based on all of your readings of the stars of late, that there shall be one final liberation rite after tonight. I concur with your evaluation, reader. Nice. I wish to make certain that you were aware, so that you and the Nightwings may yet make the most of your remaining time together. Wolfred's gonna be last, of course. As to what shall happen once the final liberation rite is ended, we soon shall both find out. But lo, it seems that we are called upon once more. Look forth.
Reader, I would ask that you think back for just a moment, if you please. When you first looked upon the Book of Rites, think back upon the words that it revealed. Oblige the voice that tells you more. Oblige the voice that tells you more. Would that the scribes were here among us still. I would not sing your praises to them, rest assured. I trust that you shall savor this occasion. You
Fuck you,
shan't have to
Archjustice.
oblige me for much longer.
Volunta lorigas.
Volunta lorigas.
Regeta noxalas.
Come forth now and declare yourself. Barker bursts out from some hidden corner laughing as he paws at his mask. A real pleasure to be here, mates, truly. Barker Ashpaws. Call me Barker, though, alright? By the by, it was a real pisser getting here, you know.
Sentira los tiempos.
Begging your pardon, Barker Ashpaws? You thusly speak upon the summit of the sacred mountain? Oh my, so terribly sorry to offend you there, lassie. I forgot we got the stars above here to make me watch me language. So let's get one thing straight, lassie. I don't give a bother for your sacred mountain, so you take it and you shove it. Me and my pack, we're just here for the laughs, you got that? The other side ain't any better than this one. We ain't interested in your freedom. You know, if you think about it, that's pretty true. But just the same, we're gonna get it. Take it from those wee little babes there, so antsy for it. Hear that, you Nightwings? You better put up a good fight here, or I ain't gonna be happy, understand? Come on then, let's hurry up and get this started.
Noxalas.
Nightwing's your choice.
Pensate lorigas.
Ulta covarantas.
Whom shall you attempt to send home this time?
You're up, Pamitha.
Pamitha.
Norifista ligaramis.
So I'm to get my shot at all this then. How very thoughtful of you, reader darling.
Who shall be at her side? Volfred.
Let us prevail in this night for you, Pamitha, and for the good of our ailing nation.
Bertrud. Very well.
Alright then, mates. No more waiting, no more holding back, and let's rip them to shreds. Let's go, let's go, let's go!
Commence.
Heh. Crap. Damn, they're so fast. Damn it. What in the... Alright, mates, something's gone right funny with that orb, as I can tell. Better laugh it up while we still can, aye? Indeed, something strange seems to have happened to the celestial orb. It shudders now as though possessed by the same chaotic power as your adversaries. Jesus. Damn it.
The blasted Nightwings proved their worth. As for their adversaries, they did not. Thus ends the liberation rite, and thus The scribes have chosen
Alright, Pamitha.
the
Oops.
exile appointed by the Night Wings shall be free.
Why'd he say it like that?
Absolved of all misdeeds. Return to glory in the Commonwealth. Her adversary and all others shall remain to carry out their rightful sentences.
What a joke. Here I was thinking we were gonna make him cry after all this. Come on, mates. I've had it with this stuck-up place. Let's get out of here already. So, what am I? Supposed to give a speech or something then? Reader darling, all of you, look. I have no idea why you still picked me. Well, I do have one, but I don't think it's right. If you'd wanted to get rid of me by now, you needn't have gone to such lengths. And so, I'm left only to conclude that you did this for me. The years I spend down here. In one sense, they've all been such a waste, just utterly for nothing. Spectacularly so. I thought that my relationship with Tamitha had nowhere left to go but up, but, well, you know, not quite the case. But then I think on what would have become of me, and I've made no attempt to set things right. Had I not done everything I have, I could not have lived with that, I think. I was so certain that my life would end down here. I'm only now beginning to consider that the opposite may have come true instead. What I'm trying to say is thanks to all of you. I mean that. Now, I guess I'd better head on back to the damn Commonwealth, so bottoms up. She plunges in the waters. Her voice still rings out. We'll have to see what we can do up here. Or there, provided that my sisters haven't had their way with it just yet. Anyway, let's find a way to keep in touch, but just in case. Goodbye.
Godspeed, Pamitha Thane. The cycle of the rites is nearly at an end.
You return to the wagon after having prevailed against the dissidents. Excellently done, Nightwings. Would that we made good of all such incidents. You succeeded in liberating Pamitha, who returned to the Commonwealth in glory. She's now cast with winged high-wing remnants, the Commonwealth's hated enemies. The last light of the stars still shines for us above. At this point, what is to become of our plan needn't be the subject of our speculation. I trust that we'll learn the outcome soon enough. 86%. Our actions to this point shall pave the way. Perhaps our faith as well. So let's for now focus on this. We stand upon the brink of the last turn of the cycle of the rites. Soon we'll have a final chance to get one of you home. Now, reader, up for a little stargazing? Let's see where in the downside we shall be returning for these final rites. I cannot stop thinking about what should happen if we fail. Less so to those of us who remain trapped here, but rather to those who return to the Commonwealth. One more rite till the next liberation, and then the last liberation. Manly again. Let's do this guy. Or this one would be interesting, because she's a bog crone. Let's do this. Because Bertrude would talk to her. Once more, you are to face the withdrawn then, although I wonder. He hesitates before saying anything further. You cannot sense his thoughts. I apologize. I was lost in thought there for a moment. Let us make way for the spring of Jomer when everyone is feeling more refreshed as much as possible. On Legacy. Reader, though you shall always bear a burden, it is much lighter than the burden of a lonesome exile. Go forth and become free. Then join with others such as you and lead with mercy, continuing to demonstrate your worth, and knowing that the Empire's fall formed the foundation of our Commonwealth. You shall cease to be a reader and become a voice both to the free and to your successors here, who shall take up this book when you no longer need it. The cycle of the right shall see to it that you and others like you shall be liberated ere the coming of another age. May the stars shine ever brightly on us all. So, I will be able to get liberated after this. After the liberation of Pamitha, you find the lone minstrel back in the wagon, looking as though no such thing had just occurred that night. Or this night. You think you see him tilt his head as you approach. Some words of congratulations are in order for this evening, I should think, reader. And so, congratulations on prevailing. Surely Pamitha shall be most grateful, and her safe return unto your commonwealth ought benefit the plan in which you all now play a part. As for your adversaries of the dissidents, this must have been a bitter loss for them and Barker, although they must have known their chance was far from certain. Thus shall we all await the next turn of the cycle of the rites. Celeste and I are to return to our respective duties for the time. I wait when next we shall meet, when next you may yet live up to the glory of the Nightwings in the eyes of the 8 scribes which yet shine down for us. He trails off, then nods to you in his cordial manner, and bids you a good rest of the evening. It's daybreak. You're to set forth now for Spring of Jomer, for what appears to be the final time. Thereafter you shall return here for one last exile's final chance at liberty. And that'll be Bulford if it lets me. If it doesn't let me, then probably Faye. What was that? You overhear Sir Deluge in a full-on panic as his fellow Worm Knights attempt to calm him down. Well, what do you mean it was the Nightwings? We're not to face them in our coming right again, are we? At some point he realizes your wagon is aloft besides his own. You Nightwings, this night shall not forgive you this transgression. Once we prevail against whichever adversaries are doomed to face us next, then we shall come for you. Ugh, why must this knight be forced to fly so far above the land and sea? Wolford believes this should be an expedient path. Bertrude expresses an interest. We'll do the expedient path. As you look about the dry flat stretching in every direction, Wolford approaches and asks a moment of your time. As we were unpacking the wagon, I happened to find something of note. Let's throw it in with the rest of the cargo, shall we? He hands you the item that he found and encourages you to take the rest of the day to rest and pursue your vocations. Forgotten parcel. Oh, okay. Mentor somebody. Oh, we won't be able to do anything for these guys. Maybe we can max out Wolford. Let's do that. We'll enlighten him and then he's going to participate, so he'll get maxed. You and Wolford compare thoughts on how each of your fellow exiles can contribute to prevailing in the rites, and in which groups of 3 they maybe can achieve their best. Whew. The 3 must act as one, so says the book. All of this to test our faith in one another and ourselves. Guys, can't help but wonder whatever happened to that number with the wings. You know, the one, I guess she's kind of pretty maybe, I suppose? She's still around by any chance? Because, well, anyways. Oh, you had a crush. Oh, they're all max. Whoops. We'll give someone +1 hope permanently, I guess. She is the least, so we'll give her a little bit. Pages revealed downside diseases. Ailments in the downside often give no warning when they strike. Those who keep moving and make no attempt to settle, they reduce their risks. The afflictions come in multiple varieties. In the bogs of flagging hands, a pallor tends to sink into the skin, and then into the mind. The nauseating sea of solace north of there is difficult for some to tolerate. Very hot or very cold environments bring their own specific side effects. My coat is not as lustrous now. My fangs are long. Like all aspects of the downside, all these ailments share a purpose, to test your body, mind, and spirit. They only appear to harm. Accept them, surpass them, and move on. Let's get this out of the way. The mood is more dour than usual as you make preparations for the coming rite. A hush has fallen over your fellow exiles and a sense of dread hangs in the air. At least one of your companions is unfazed. We sense the influence of one of our own. She is nearby. Her mind, corrupted, calls out screaming. Canst thou hear it, perhaps? She speaks of witch Udmild, the adversary whom you expect to face this night. The witch. She doth rever an ancient god undying and unyielding on this land and on her consciousness. We may attempt an exorcism here, for the conditions are unique, and she may not be expecting us to be abetting ye. However, 'tis a risk, upon her mind and mine own, although a worthwhile risk perhaps. Bertrude seems to think that Udmild can be weakened now somehow through the coming rite. Then the stars above begin to shimmer with their strange light. There, the Star of Easlok. Our adversary worships it and whom it represents. Fixate upon that star reading one, if thou so darest, invoke its power. Do so in our adversary Udmild, she shall be emboldened, but also left vulnerable to our own sorceries. We may yet limit her ambitions thus. Okay. Oh, it's the hard one? We'll do it. This might be a tough fight. What if we came all this way to lose right here when we're like 25-0? Oh boy.
The Commonwealth. Your home. Today it is aflame. Much like a stack of books. Aflame because of you.
You're goddamn right.
Because of your outlandish plan. Not that you care. Not that you shall live to see this place again. Your attempts at revolution shan't succeed.
We'll see about that, bitch.
So by all means, keep trying. As for myself, I shall enjoy presiding over these remaining rites.
So what have we here? Ye have returned once more unto our presence. We sense something among ye. Who? Bertrude slithers forth and gazes at her adversary. Thou maggot. We should have known. But Bertrude does not respond. Ye Nightwings. That one shall be of little benefit to ye. That one's sorceries are a mere pittance to the overwhelming might of Easlok. Soon ye shall see. Reading 1. Thou invoketh the Star of Easlok, so then beware. Through our sorceries shall Udmild be cast into a hopeless doubt about her faith upon her god. It shall be done if we prevail, but only if. Our own mind shall perhaps be forfeit otherwise. Oh god. It seems that through the outcome of this rite, either Udmild shall be permanently weakened or Bertrude shall instead.
Go on then. Faye. Bertrude. Volfred. Predictably decided.
Udmild. Whatever her designs upon the rites, they cannot be good. She has dangerous intent. Now then, Nightwings, you wish to mock Easlok? Ye in your infinite foolishness shall be among the first to suffer. We'll see about it.
Now begin.
Oh, she knocked me back. crap.
Banished from this place.
Holy
Your
shit.
adversaries did not hesitate.
What a jump.
How comical. How sad for the withdrawn.
Go, Wilfred. Oh, come on. She spawned on me?
The orb.
Oh my
You
god.
wielder casts herself
No.
into the fire.
Pathetic as expected, ye inconsequential maggots. Okay, we gotta go for Bertrude. I gotta just try aura casting.
Be gone,
Nice.
lot. Oh my word.
Faye. No.
The orb.
Jesus.
They douse the flame.
Now we get Bertrude back, which is really good.
Bertrude
Okay.
plunged into the adversary's fire.
One more score. Come on.
The rite has nearly ended. Oh, no, you don't. Quite foul for the Nightwings.
No.
Not much of a splash that
Okay,
time.
okay. Okay, Bertrude. Let's go, Bertrude.
Well cast.
No. Go. God damn it.
Quite an exchange.
Yes.
And it is done.
That was so close.
The blasted Nightwings prevailed.
We almost lost one at the end of the game.
Mayhap the scribe shall simply smite them down next time.
Jeez.
The rite is ended.
How can this be? How can this be? Easelock, answer us. Easelock, Easelock. Witch Udmild continues with her screaming, having been defeated in the rite. You observe Bertrude there, fixed in a meditative pose. There, Udmild, relent, relent. Thy God has not abandoned thee, because thy God is dead. Thy God is dead. Pray to him all thou likest, yet it shall do thee no good. As Bertrude recedes into the shadows, Udmild slumps down, staring at nothing before her. Impossible. This cannot be. Answer us. Answer us. Udmild suffered -5 hope permanently. Not worth. So we're like almost done with the game.
Are the teachings of the scribes. So Wilfred learned a thing or two, so what?
It is possible our plan shall not succeed, despite our fiercest efforts here and in the Commonwealth, but I know for certain that our efforts shall not be in vain. We learn and strive together, we prevail or we fail together. On this path we share. It has been and shall continue to be my greatest honor. While Wilfred and his allies are banished, adversaries are slowed and cannot use abilities. That's nice.
Praise be to Leus Glorian. To Bertrude all the ways of the eggs.
Long have we sought to fathom all the darkest secrets hidden by the light of the stars. Now at last, the stars themselves revoked their station in the night, and we finally achieved an inkling of this.
Praise be
That's gotta
to
be good.
Molten Melith. You may go now at your earliest convenience.
No one speaks further of the withdrawn back at the Black Wagon. Everyone is instead preoccupied with the right that is to come. Our final chance at liberty presents itself at last. You surmise that to be the long and the short of it, then. The stars always shine with truth. The ending of the cycle of the rites is now upon us. He looks over to you. Please look forth, reader, sir, and see this for yourself. You may well surmise where we are going next. The others turn to you as well. You turn towards the wagon's door. You know what you shall see out there. Now, however, the time has come to face it. The dim and fading light of the final star still pierces through the darkness, demanding your attention, guiding you toward the endpoint of your path. Look upon it for the last. "88%. The last remaining star shall soon be gone. We have this one last chance to get one of us out. May the scribes be merciful to us all." Everybody else is just gone. It's just Orlek. We're 25-0. Interact to challenge the true Nightwings here next. You are summoned to the Fall of Solium for your 7th and final liberation rite. Thus shall the cycle of the rites be ended for an age. You sense that if the rites ever shall commence again, it shall not be during your lifetime or that of any of your companions, even the longest lived ones. The stars reveal to you one thing more. The adversary whom you face shall be Orlek. Already has crossed Scribe's Gate and awaits your arrival. If the 8 scribes created the Nightwings in their own likeness, perhaps it is only fitting that the Nightwings should in the end be forced to face themselves. It's a shame that we should have to confront Orlek in the end. Our goal should never have been at cross purpose. I am surprised that this is what the scribes desire. For now, it may be best that you recover until dawn. Regain your strength as best you can for the coming trial. Rest well, reader. The group disperses as exhaustion sets in. At dawn, you fly to Mount Aliel to make a final effort to achieve your plan and get somebody home. But who? Beaufort if possible, but if not, Faye.
Foolish reader. Your so-called friends. You are accomplice to their hateful plot. They are exploiting you. You shall never have your freedom.
I don't care. I never expected it. By dawn, you are already up and about after a troubled slumber. The Black Wagon is prepared for its final voyage to the Fall of Solium. No one speaks. As you lift into the skies, the lone minstrel raises his voice, cutting through the somber mood. Reader, a certain olden ballad comes to mind just now. I think it may befit the circumstance. Perhaps it may help to pass the time along our flight. Would you mind very much if I were to play this song for the Nightwings? By all means. You urge the lone minstrel to play his ballad so that all among you might hear it. He begins without another word.
When the stars align, the rites shall come to bear. Illuminate the signs, the exiles shall be there. All are not the same, but 3 shall be as one. Freedom in flame, the end has just begun. Strength may break our own, but twisted make a grave. Together on their own, the journey shall be made. The journey shall be made.
You touch down amid the solemn beauty of Mount Aladil to make pilgrimage to the summit for one last time. There, one last liberation rite shall soon commence. There, one last exile shall regain his or her freedom. All others shall remain, to carry out their sentences here in the downside for the remainder of their lives. And in the Commonwealth, the plan of which you are a part shall either come to fruition or shall be suppressed. Still nothing. Oh, there was something in here. Sola shell. The sparkly thing in its center is in fact its heart. Which it... Oh, no, we already knew that. It was sparkling, so I thought it was new. After having landed, you've joined Bertrude on an expedition to the Monument of Molten Malith for what is likely to be the final time. We beseech ye, ancient gods of the last age, and we invoke thine aid. We have traveled far to gain this summit many times, and stood steadfast with our compatriots who seek to leave this place. We now offer you our services eternally. If you would grant us such a boon as to ensure our triumph in the coming night. Long would we serve ye, O ancient gods, should ye accept our offer here and now. Soon she is finished. You return to the wagon in silence, feeling as though Molten Malith has shown you favor. At dawn you shall begin your last descent. For now your vocations may occupy what little time you have to spare. Bertrude gets 3 glory. You notice Bertrude studying the Beyonder crystal. She sets it down as you approach. The mouthy wraith rebuketh our attempt to summon her. She insisteth that we are too young to understand. She must be referring to Sandra, who it seems that Bertrude may be able to invoke her. Stubborn, that one. Possessing of an ancient understanding, olden ways and olden times. Many centuries of history, knowledge of the 8 scribes themselves. Held captive there, within that green-tinged stone, within that wraith's own memories. Would that we could extract them in some way. Perhaps thou couldst induce the wraith's obedience, reading one. For she heedeth not, she claimeth obligation unto only thee. Although... She stops and thinks very carefully. The Beyonder crystal is not to be tampered with. Your fellow exiles know that its use is at your sole discretion. She backs away from you, still thinking to herself. Ignorest thee our inquiries about this, reading one. Our reasoning has taken us elsewhere. Her refusal to cooperate is like to be an ancient warning of some sort. 'Tis possible that others of the southern bogs know something of her, but we shall not be tampering further with such sorceries ourselves. That the wraith refuseth to cooperate suggesteth our predicament is suitably deserved. She heads out in a huff, but just as the air grows still and quiet, you sense something from the Beyonder crystal. Mouthy wraith, she says. Can you believe it, reader? Ah, to be so young and foolish again. Sandra the Unseeing laughs to herself. Your proximity to the Beyonder crystal must have been insufficient to invoke her in this case. That crone of yours is far too curious, I think, but it appears that even she has learned her lesson in this case. Thank the stars. I am beholden to no more than one among you Nightwings at a time. And thank the stars that happens to be you rather than her. And if that crone attempts to lay her fingers on my Beyonder crystal again, I shall just have to torment her dreams till she's my age. Do feel free to mention that if it comes up. Now, farewell. You know where to find me, lovely reader. She vanishes. It seems that Sandra proved resistant to Bertrude's tampering. If so much history is trapped within the Beyonder crystal, there it shall remain for the foreseeable future. Me? Oh, of course. Please tell me something I don't know, for there's lots of it. You find a remote spot where Yunfei can discuss any of her misgivings or fears about your journey or your fellow exiles. The conversation gives perspective and relief. I feel like I'm glad you spoke with me about all this, because sometimes I do become afraid. Messenger Imp. Specifically, the imp shares details regarding Pamitha and what became of her since she was liberated at the fall of Solium. She found herself back in the homeland of her enemies, where, despite her connection to the Highwing remnants, her past transgressions were forgiven. In fact, she was asked to join the military council given her unique background. Yet she refused to cooperate and instead demanded to be reunited with her sister Tamitha. But when they threatened her with a resentencing to exile and insisted that she take the opportunity, Pamitha said that at last that she would think it over and return with a decision soon. Next she was seen, however, was among Volfred's sons and daughters of the Revolution, where it is said that she has attached her loyalty, at least for the time. I wonder where her sister is right now. I'm sure she cares for Pamitha, I'm sure of it. I hold the hope that both the Thane sisters one day soon shall join together as part of our good cause. The two of them can help lead us towards a brighter future. We suspect the ancient enmity between the winged and the flightless shall not soon be resolved, if ever at all. In spite of some mixed feelings, the news of Pamitha's liberation fills you and your fellow exiles with resolve. Everybody gains hope. You stand before the Scribe's Gate with your companions. The Gate Guardian is there as ever, but you sense something different in her. The exiles of the Nightwings, we shall not meet again after the coming right. Tarek and I, it shall be time we take our rest, I think. Greetings, Celeste. I would tell you that the Nightwings are prepared, though this time I am uncertain anyone amongst us feels thus. We have a duty to uphold, Tarek. And then what, Celeste? And then, nothing. Not for the rights or us. Not till the dawn of a new age. Now, Nightwing, step forward. Please state your names and what it is you seek whilst crossing Scribe's Gate. One by one, your fellow exiles approach her, now with sureness in their step. If I may, my name is Volfred Sandalwood. I long as yet to see an age where freedom is one's birthright, and no longer are good people such as these forced to contend for it. We are called Big Bertrude. We seek to fulfill the plan of Sandalwood, for we are fond of him and his beliefs, and then to go about our business. Oh, my name is Faye, and I'm here because the scribes, this is the path that they've shown me and all of us. I like it when they call to me. Finally, you step forth once more. You, a common wanderer who seeks revenge against the Commonwealth which wronged you, and who managed to come this far with this group. The Gate Guardian observes you for a moment, then motions past the archway towards the summit. Tarek, you stay right there? I thought you said, the rites are not yet ended, Tarek. He looks to her, then over to the rest of you. Pardon me, everyone. I shall be there when the stars align. You've gained the summit of Mount Aladil for the 7th time, the final time in which any of you shall have a chance to leave the downside. Beyonder Crystal seeks me. Hey guys, I guess you probably heard the big news, huh? Yeah, I'm going out of business here, I guess. Just hasn't been the same, you know, what with all the stars all fading out and stuff. Anyway, just wanted to say you guys are great, and I sure am gonna miss having you guys as customers and all of that. But I got some good news though, too. All my stuff, it's all on sale now, and I will throw a little extra there just for you, okay? So, enjoy, and maybe I'll be seeing you guys around, okay? Henceforth, all of Falcon Run's goods are 5% off? Gee, thanks. Great. Maybe some other time then, guys. Thank you for visiting on such short notice, reader. I understand you have important matters to attend to. So let me be blunt. Please listen for a moment then. I know this whole affair is coming to an end, all of it. I sense the binds that form the rites becoming weak. Which means, soon you will not need me anymore. Not that you have needed me at any point, but still. My services will not be of any further use. I would love to tell you that this means I shall be free from my eternal prison. For some of my Beyonders it shall be a release. My accomplices are bound by weaker words than those which have bound me. They shall fade away, I think, and finally rest. I, however, shall remain. She hesitates for a moment. Thus, I have a proposition for you. I do not know where you shall go from here, but I ask you to take me there, wherever it shall be. By that I mean, take this stone prison of mine and keep it. Do not just leave it, as all your predecessors have, each time their stay among the Nightwings reached an end. Soon the Beyonder Crystal shall serve no use at all except to keep me trapped. I am content to remain thus, for I have little choice, but I would prefer to do so in your company. For I do enjoy the company, reader. This may not be much of a compliment, but I assure you that I much prefer your company to an eternity of solitude. I have no wish to see you gain in years, and to eventually decay, whilst I remain unchanging. But I should rather have more years whilst having contact. Even if those years are to be brief, they shall afford me many more in which I might think back upon our times. Nor do I expect you to accommodate my needs, for I'm well aware I have my limits in accommodating yours. That is to say, I wish you to go forth after this rite and live your life however you see fit. For your own sake, may all this rites business enrich your coming days somehow. And, in considering that life after this night, if you think that there may be a place in it for me, however small then, once again I simply ask that you take me along. That way, should you ever wish to visit me again sometime, you could, and I would like to have that as an option more than not. My request here is a selfish one, for there's little I can offer in exchange other than what little my companionship is worth. Perhaps I could lull you to sleep once in a while. Who knows? You could always try to sell the Beyonder Crystal for a reasonable sum somewhere or something to that end. There must be someone out there with an interest in this thing. So then, you've heard my sad little proposition. What do you say? Of course. You grasp the Beyonder Crystal and set it into the folds of your clothing. Sandra senses this and makes a sound as though surprised. Thank you, reader. She's at a loss for a moment then. Let us go then from this place. Go and face your last remaining adversaries. May you crush them under heel and achieve the outcome which you seek. I believe you shall prevail. You're goddamn right we will. She disappears into the stone for now. You took the Beyonder Crystal with you, an ancient artifact connected to the rites. Should the reader manage in your eyes, present the crystal only then. Commence the final liberation. This is your final opportunity to liberate one of your fellow exiles and help fulfill Volfred's plan. Let's do it. You've gained the summit of Mount Aladio for the 7th time. Very few stars remain above to light your way as you await the commencement of the final liberation rite. The lone minstrel finds you clutching the Book of Rites, seeking there perhaps some bit of wisdom that has eluded you thus far. Reader, we may not yet have a chance to speak again. After this I may have to go. I wish to say that I am grateful for having made your acquaintance, and I shall remember you with fondness. I wish you well, this night and always. Go forth with glory. Then he looks up and he extends his hand in friendship. You clasp it. You see Bertrude has joined you. All of your companions are there with her, in fact. Reading 1. Thou art both wiser and less irritating than most others of thy kind. We have learned something from thee, and we are grateful. It is strange for me to say, given the circumstances of our meeting, reader. But it has truly been a pleasure. Onward now, let us achieve our plan. Oh, hi, mister. The others. They said they wanted me to join them and come talk to you, so here I am. The scribes are watching us. You look upon your fellow exiles, your companions, with whom you have withstood the downside, and with whom you shall now conduct this final rite. Begging your pardon, but my time has come. We shall see each other soon. Hey, what's up, Nobny? Must be late as hell there. You're about to see the end of the game, I think. If you can stay up. He departs. After this night, the outcome of Volfred's plan, the plan of which you all have been a part, shall be decided, one way or another. For now, all you can do is strive to prevail against your final adversaries, so that one last companion may go free. You rise to join your fellow exiles as the last remaining stars ignite. The final liberation rite of this age shall now commence. Let us stand together. Here we go.
Silvius Horse-Headed.
What if we just did this?
Lord Galroth.
Having come this far, you need but take the final steps upon your quest for freedom.
Look, for one last time, upon the fall of Solium, dear reader. Hear me for one last time. For soon, the few remaining stars shall fade away, leaving you stranded there for your remaining days.
Liar!
In that forsaken land where you deserve to be. The rabble that you roused here in the Commonwealth shall be put down. The exiles whom you liberated, all shall fall in line. But first, Let us get on with this last liberation rite. You face none other than yourselves. Each so unlike the glorious Nightwings of yore. 'Tis a shame that one of you shall soon be free, for you deserve each other.
Volunta Lorgas.
Nothing really, Novni. We just freed a couple more exiles. The only three we have left are Faye, Bertrude, and what's his name? Volfred. And I don't think there actually was any real traitor. The traitor that the speaker was referring to was Volfred, because Volfred's trying to start the uprising in the Commonwealth to make it a better place. At least that's my understanding. So there's no actual like traitor. We freed Hedwyn, Jadariel, and Pamitha. And this is the last rite. But before the Lone Minstrel can concur as per the custom... Not another word. The demon Orlex slowly raised his clawed fingers to his mask. The false Nightwings have arrived at last. Long have I awaited this. My freedom once was stolen from me. Then I was cheated of it here upon this mountaintop. You may now attempt to take it from me once more. He stands there for a moment, silent. Then, Orlek dons his mask and stands prepared. Yeah, pretty much, Novni. May these damned rights cease forever for the misery which they caused. Nightwings, we shall not meet again after tonight, for the cycle of the rites is all but ended. Thus, I would have your decision. On whose behalf shall you conduct this final liberation rite? The one whom you anoint, or else the exile Orlek shall be returned. Godspeed, reader. You know what is at stake better than I. I have utmost faith in you to make the best decision and conduct this rite with glory. Nightwings, the star's remaining light grows dim. Your decision, please. It is now time to choose who, if anyone among you, shall go free this one last time. The rest of you shall remain in the downside to the end of your days. One by one, you meet the gazes of each of your fellow exiles. Volfred, Bertrude, Faye. Your fellow exiles, your companions, your friends. Together you have come this far, but now the downside and the rights conspire to tear your group apart and disrupt your plan. Yeah, sorry Novni, I'm dropping a little bit of frames here and there. Not many though. There's no turning back. With but a glance, you reassure your fellow exiles that you know what to do.
One final opportunity for salvation. Too bad for the rest of you.
Former exile of the Nightwings, betrayed and abandoned in his moment of glory. He was repulsed by what he saw on the blood border, which sowed in his heart a yearning for a greater peace. He tried to use his influence to negotiate a treaty with the Highwing remnants, but not everyone was swayed. One day he received direct orders to return to the front. When he refused to soil his hands again, they cast him down. There in time he became affiliated with the Nightwings, and grew to become one of their finest rites conductors, until tragedy struck and he was left clinging to life at the foot of the sacred mountain. He was a physician, one with exceptional knowledge of the mind and body and their ceaseless list of vague concerns. Those administering mercy were among the most cherished of individuals in the Commonwealth. Lenoriel, devoted and faithful, crime insubordination. He refused a direct order to return to tending casualties on the blood border. Motive insurrection. The record shows that he harbored sympathies for the enemy and showed no love of country. 18 years exiled. It's got to be Volfred, of course. He's the one who wants to lead the revolution.
Volfred.
Long have I dreamt that I might someday see this plan of ours come to fruition. I promise you that I shall make the most of it if we are to prevail. Your choice is cast. As for your other companions, you sense a clarity of thought and purpose in each of them. They stand ready to support Volfred as well as you.
who shall strive for him. Faye,
Blessed are the scribes who grant me and all of us this final chance, that we might free our dear friend Wolfred.
Bertrude.
Thy will is ours, reading one. Let the remaining stars shed their last light upon our ceremony here.
Fine.
Those are to be my adversaries, then. And who is it, I wonder, who asserts his will over that group? You sense Orlek searching for you, almost reaching out to you. You, the shadow of the false Nightwings. They are nothing to me, but you who would relinquish your own liberty for sake of them? Strange. It is fitting, then, that I should have to face one such as you. Then Orlek stands at the ready, signaling for his two allies to do the same. By light of dawn, the cycle of the right shall cease. Let us see if we can finish this ordeal before that time. Alright, we're 25-0. If we lose this, I'm going to be so pissed. But we got this. The sky above begins to shudder. The final liberation rite is about to commence. Tarek. Aye, I am prepared, Celeste. Then let our song this evening shake the stars themselves. Aye, Celeste, let us make sure of it.
Begin. The final chance at liberation for the age.
You wear the raiments once again. I could not simply stand by and do nothing, Orlek. Yet that is what you did. When last we stood together on this blasted mountain, I fell. You simply stood. Orlek, what shall it take for you to be convinced I took no part in your betrayal? Orlek seems to consider the question, but only for a moment. Give me my damn freedom. Let me prevail, here and now. Would you promise to uphold our plan, to bring about a better Commonwealth? No. I make no promises. I owe you nothing. Then I'm sorry, Orlek. My love of country comes before all else. More than your freedom and our friendship is at stake. Your love be damned, Wolfred. Let us stand as adversaries, then. Ooh. Sapling! Crap. Oh, that was nice. Damn it. Kind of. This big demon guy. He is one of the old members of the Nightwings. And before he attained his freedom, like some amount of years ago, one of the other Nightwings betrayed him and like threw him off the cliff and then took his freedom instead. So he like wants to get his freedom, his rightful freedom, and we're kind of standing in his way. So that's it. The sky rains ash. Soon shall your pyres own mingle with them. Just then the skies above begin to rain down fire. The final throes of the cycle of the rites and the ending of the age.
I'll take it.
Oh, it was right there.
Now,
That was a nice throw. Wow.
this is the road to ruin. The orb's unclaimed again.
Wow, they got me good.
There.
God damn it, I hate that little imp.
Oh dear.
Wow.
Tough luck, Nightwings. To it. The bog crone dove into the flame.
Yeah, the music's awesome. Huh. So the false Nightwings bear their fangs at last. But that cannot be your finest effort. You think you deserve your freedom more than I? Then fight for it, damn you.
How he has changed, that warlick. Grown old and bitter lo these many years. An opportunity.
Crap.
Blessed be.
One more. Orlick stands, breathing heavily. He looks back on the thin lick of flame that is his smoldering pyre, before turning his attention back to your triumvirate. Got him.
There it is, at last. The Nightwings proved their worth.
26-0.
Their adversaries they defeated utterly. Thus ends the liberation rite. And thus the scribes have chosen.
Praise the scribes, we've done it. You look upon Bolford for what you expect shall be the last time you see each other. Any moment now, the Shimmer Pool shall engulf him. Any moment now, he shall return to glory and join his agents in the Commonwealth to help achieve the plan. No, he doesn't die. He doesn't get to go free. And this is supposedly the last rite for an extremely long time, so anybody else who's left is stuck for the rest of their lives, basically. Supposedly. Any moment now, the cycle of the rites shall end, until at least the dawn of a new age. Any moment now.
And thus the scribes have chosen. And thus the scribes have chosen. And thus the scribes have chosen. No. Nightwings. Reader. What have you done?
Hold. There's something wrong. Each prior time upon the fall of Solium, the Shimmer Pool is opened, following the liberation rite, and taken in whichever exile prevailed. But now all is still, and the light of the stars above has all but died. You sense a growing fear that it is already too late, that the Shimmer Pool shall not reveal itself again. Orlick approaches, his head bowed. The 8 scribes saved their greatest treachery for last. Then something else catches his notice. Wait. A sudden rush of starlight cascades through the stillness of the summit. The Shimmer Pool has appeared again, different somehow, but open. Bolford looks upon it, but it does not engulf him, or at least not yet. It seems I was mistaken then. The 8 scribes. This is not their greatest treachery. It is their greatest jest. The Shimmer Pool is flung wide open. It seems that all are worthy now of freedom. Orlek strides towards the Shimmer Pool, but...
Senim.
Halt, Orlek. Orlek glances over at the lone minstrel almost in surprise.
Sonfidete.
The Shimmer Pool has lost most of its strength. You step inside and you shall surely drown, of that I can assure you. He laughs to himself at this. Then we have all been cheated.
Nimsare.
No, the Shimmer Pool is revealed, and one of you may still return as planned. But, as for who returns, someone shall have to choose, ere the last light of the stars is extinguished and the rites cease to be. This is the final trial of the scribes. The final trial of the scribes. Then, our confrontation, the liberation rite, it was all meaningless?
Nim.
No. The victor of the confrontation is to be the one to make the choice. Among those closest to the scribes, either the anointed or he who anointed them. So the choice is mine to make. My freedom weighed against the reader's. Is that it?
Var.
Aye. It shall be either you, the reader, or... It shall be either or.
Tagerusare.
Wolfred, please make your decision quickly, lest it shall be forfeit. I do not know for how much longer the light of the stars shall offer you this gift. A snap decision then. Fine, I have made it. Reader, my boy. This chance of freedom that we've earned, it's yours. Take it now and make good use of it for you and all of us. Wolfred wishes to give up his freedom so that you may regain yours.
Simadare.
Very well.
Irate irigarate.
Reader, sir, the choice which Wolfred made, or rather, the choice which he gave, it is now yours to make instead. This choice, it may keep bouncing back and forth like this. Absurd.
Ut tempra dantas.
It may until such time as one of you is willing to accept the burden and outcome of the choice. That is the trial. And I fear that there is little time remaining now. Reader. If you and your companion are too cordial with each other to accept that freedom, either one of you, then I shall gladly take it. Freedom ought to be more than some flirtatious trifle to exchange.
Ligaratus.
Reader, what is your will? The decisions! No, Wolfred's needed up top to change things. You are decided. You have chosen Wolfred. He looks at you with some astonishment.
Vanta recognare.
Wolfred, sir, do you accept the reader's choice, or shall you make another? Yes, I accept the reader's choice in this. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, my boy, and I'm afraid that I don't know what else to say.
Va pensare.
Then it is done. You see a look of genuine surprise flash across Wolfred's face, and then... he's gone. You gave a chance of freedom so that Wolfred may yet have his. May he return in glory.
Godspeed, Wolfred Sandalwood. By the scribes, no stars remain aloft. The cycle of the rites. It is finished. The Commonwealth. What shall become of it? What shall become of us? Nightwings. The opportunity to gain your freedom from the downside. Was it not enough?
That night, the exile Wolfred returned to the Commonwealth. He was to be the last. The stars had faded and the cycle of the rites had run its course. Yeah, Wolfred is free. He found the Commonwealth in great upheaval. Spurred by the efforts of 6 liberated exiles, Wolfred Sandalwood's revolutionary plan had incited the masses. These exiles in the starless sky portended the return of the scribes. The people surged into the streets, shoulder to shoulder. Led by the 6 exiles, their voice shook the heavens. The leadership of the Commonwealth panicked. No blood was shed that night, and by dawn, it was over. The leaders of the Commonwealth had cast themselves back into exile or joined in this new cause. Thus, in its 838th year, the Commonwealth had fallen. The new Saurian Union declared its sovereignty in the next year. Among the changes its elected leaders ushered in, they vowed never to cast their people into exile. And they abolished the old Commonwealth decree forbidding literacy. I'm not sure, Nobny. Today, we still remember all of this. And we remember the exiles of the downside, whose deeds led to the dawning of our age. Hold on. Dropping a bunch of frames, I'll fix it real quick. Let's see if it fixes itself. I don't want you guys to have to miss this. Okay, I think we're good. And we remember the exiles of the downside, whose deeds led to the dawning of our age, whether they returned or not. True freedom. Complete your quest for freedom. What's all this? The imp called Tizo was the first of his kind to achieve liberty through the rites. While he was not the only imp trained in the ways of the scribes, imps are native to the downside, and thus care not for traveling abroad. This made them useful to triumvirates. Yet Tizo had a different calling, and the Nightwings believed that he too could play a key part in Wolfred Sandalwood's plan. During the night of Scribe's return, he stood out to the populace as something of a miracle. They'd only heard of downside imps before, from legends of Hawkzz the Swallow. Scribe's return. Inspired by the liberated exiles, the people of the Commonwealth demanded new leadership. Cast yourselves down, chant from the Scribe's return. Afterwards, he became something of an icon, representing both the fall of the Commonwealth and the beginning of a new era. Sandalwood sometimes called for his assistance, and Tizo was always happy to oblige. The two would often reminisce about their times with the Lone Minstrel. Tizo often missed his interactions with the Reader and the Nightwings. They had quickly built quite a rapport back in the downside. You are an exile of the Commonwealth, sentenced to life in the downside, once merely the status of a deviant, yet now a revered title in the Saurian Union. And Tizo would often express wistful gratitude for all his time conducting the rites along the Nightwings, who made such sacrifices for him. Other than that, Tizo was diligent about his role as something of a living artifact, and helped interpret for the messenger imps that relayed news to and from the downside. Despite having gained significant celebrity, he never let it go to his head, although he did take full advantage of his access to the Saurian Union's fishing industry. Our nation formed in 839 AS after the fall of the Commonwealth. One day we all may stand shoulder to shoulder with a common cause. Well, there's lots of people to click. We'll do what happened to the bad guys first. As the cycle of the rites drew to a close, it grew evident that a chance at freedom from the downside had forever slipped from Dalbert and Almer Oldheart's grasp. Thus, they and the exiles of the Fate returned to Jomer Valley. There they struggled to get by, as the exiles of the downside tend to do. Sometime after the rites had ended, the Oldhearts at last heard the news that the Commonwealth had fallen. This was well after the fact, of course, but it brought old Dalbert great joy. Despite his forthright manner, he had no love for the nation that cast him down, along with his son. Dalbert Oldheart passed peacefully in his sleep before the next new moon. In his final days, he implored his son to undertake a pilgrimage to the scribes. Almer never shared his father's view of the scribes, but respected Dalbert's wishes, and so after a period of mourning, Almer began a new journey. One day during his travels, he ran almost headlong into another exile, after paying homage to the springs of Jomer. He was stunned to find that this was none other than the one he knew as Faye, from their days as adversaries in the rites. Faye! Faye was overjoyed to see him, though Almer was unable to bring himself to understand why. Eventually, of course, he did, and they remained together, growing ever more accustomed to their new lives in the downside. Not a day went by that Almer Oldheart did not think about his father, and give thanks to him, and speak to him at morning and at night. Would that the stars yet shone, for surely Dalbert's would be there among them, smiling down at his son and watching over him and his kin. This guy's an ass. After the final liberation rite, Lendl refused to believe that the rites had truly ended. He would sit through night after consecutive night, staring into the blackness of the sky, awaiting any kind of sign that he might gain another chance at freedom. No such sign ever came. His fellow accusers started to express concern for him. Survival had become their top priority once liberty had slipped from their grasp. But Lendl dismissed them as weak fools. He insisted rather forcefully that any evening now the stars would shine for him again, and mark the way towards his inevitable freedom. He was, of course, mistaken. The others in his triumvirate were left with little choice but to abandon him. After that, the exile known as Lendl the Liar was never seen again. However, there have been sightings of a bedraggled demon who wanders the downside and bears Lendl's cruel countenance, suggesting he yet lives. Like I deserve that, screw him. All his life, Sir Deluge had fled from one danger only to find himself facing another. He had escaped the war-torn waters of the Sea Dominion, he had escaped the blood border of the Commonwealth, and now he had escaped the rites. After the rites had ended, many exiles wrapped up in the ancient tests were crestfallen, as their last chances to return to their homes vanished, along with the stars above. But Deluge did not mind. For his outcome meant that, at last, there was no burden of responsibility weighing down on him. While most of his fellow exiles of the Pyre Arch yet longed for the waters of the Sea Dominion, driven as ever by their impulses towards conflict, Deluge settled down. With him remained one of his companions, one Lady Seagrass, who had taken a liking to him for some reason. Reportedly, they disappeared into the waters of Worm Gulf, which may begin to explain the significant increase in worm population observed in the vicinity. After the cycle of the rites had ceased, Witch Udmild returned to the Flagging Hands region, where she sealed herself within the Pit of Malith. There, even her fellow exiles of the Withdrawn allegedly grew unnerved after a time and left her to her vile work. Sometime later, the Pit of Malith erupted into flame. So intense was the conflagration that it could be seen all the way from Jomer Valley. Arson was suspected, though the cause was never verified, and many bog dwellers in the region were forced to flee. A tempest blowing from the north finally quenched the flames. When at last the ashes settled and the grounds had cooled, the site of the fire was scarred beyond recognition. No trace of Witch Udmild could be found. As for the contents of the Pit of Malith, which notably included a profane object thought to be the remains of Islok, all of it was gone as well. Back in the Saurian Union, Udmild's repeated threats of the return of Islok were thoroughly investigated, and no credence was found to any of her claims. Barker Ashpaws never had much interest in returning to the Commonwealth, for he always found its bylaws to be stifling, so when the rites ended he did not care at first. He soon grew very bored. The rites had given his life a certain sense of structure he had always needed. He missed the raw anticipation of it all. He decided to continue conducting the rites for the thrill of it. He bent some of the rules and replaced some of the objects, but it was close enough. His packmates, the dissidents, proved more than happy to participate, and thus they ran against each other back in Jomer Valley. Gradually, other exiles familiar with the rites, as well as those who had not heard of it at all, started to take an interest. They ended up giving Barker Ashpaw some healthy competition. His old feud with Rookie Greentail ceased meaning anything to him, and he forgot all about it amid his new pursuits. Ultimately, even Barker Ashpaws, who had led such a directionless existence to that point, found something of a calling through the rites. Whether he took the rites less seriously than any other exile of his time or more was oft debated by those who watched him work. Through her exile, Tamitha Thane was motivated by a single goal: to return to the Commonwealth and exact vengeance on her ancient enemies. When she realized the rites had ended and that she would never see her mountain home again, she nonetheless remained determined to aid her people however possible. She'd gathered certain information pertaining to the intentions of the Nightwings, who had formed a pact to regroup on the other side after their liberation. Other such reports exposed certain weaknesses in the Commonwealth defenses, and revealed to the Highwing remnants the opportunity for a risky but potentially impactful strike. As Tamitha could not participate in the assault, she learned what happened well after the outcome. On that night known as the Scribe's Return, the Commonwealth had fallen. The Highwing remnants thus prevailed at last without even having to fight. Soon after the fall of the Commonwealth, Tamitha learned her blood sister Pamitha was an accessory to the successful outcome. Tamitha was very skeptical of this, but as similar reports kept mounting, she soon accepted the prevailing opinion, however grudgingly. Once a messenger imp arrived bearing some sort of message, seemingly from Pamitha. However, Tamitha turned it away. Oh, okay, no problem, Nobney. Have a good night. I'll see you next time. She would not give in to an impulse to forgive. Knowing that the conflict on the other side had ended, Tamitha retreated to the crags of Black Basin and grew ever more distant. Those closest to her surmised that her inability to reconcile with her blood sister was at the heart of this, though for her part, Tamitha never once admitted to any such weakness. When Manly Tinderstoff realized the rites had ended and that he no longer could return to the Commonwealth, through this ancient means he was outraged. He cursed the scribes, spewing forth such a slew of blasphemy as to be very unbecoming of one of his high status and bearing. When at last he calmed himself, he focused all his energies on attempting to find another means of homecoming. He maintained regular contact with his wealthy family on the other side via messenger imp, and used their vast resources to explore other means of escape. He tried using an elaborate pulley system. He attempted to retrofit a flying black wagon with superior propulsion. He tried an imp raft, a hot air balloon, even prayer. Nothing worked. There was only one way to escape the downside, and now it was gone. Tinderstoff bankrupted his family in these vain attempts. At last, such was his shame that he retreated to the teeming woods of Black Basin to Cinderroot. There yet he wallows, complaining to his comrades of the chastity who still put up with him, either about his own misfortune or the latest news from the other side. Once it became clear to Ignarius that the rites were drawing to a close, he knew that it was time for him and the Tempers to call it quits. But first he and the Tempers decided to celebrate, and that they did for many, many nights. The revelry did eventually subside. The exiles parted amicably and went their separate ways. He roamed the downside then, searching for some meaning in his life, sometimes taking odd jobs requiring his brute strength. He never remained alone for very long, and took on many lovers in his time. However, he sometimes thought about the one he had called Curly Horns and what became of her. Though his glory days as the most powerful conductor of the rites had long since passed, he always enjoyed the fearsome reputation he had cultivated at that time. After the shimmer pool closed for what would be the last time, Orlek looked around him, in the flickering light of the Nightwing's still burning pyre. He then turned to the fall of Solium and looked up toward the black starless sky. He cursed the 8 scribes then, one after the other. After that he strode forward towards the waters coursing from the side of Mount Aladil, and without hesitating he cast himself down. Jeez. Orlek's body was never recovered. The drop from Mount Aladil does not appear survivable, though Orlek did survive it once. That time, however, he was filled with fury. Such was the betrayal he had suffered when his fellow exile claimed his rightful freedom. This time Orlek was filled with nothingness, and chose to leave the downside in the one way he still knew he could. The other Nightwings who were witness to this never forgot what they saw. Oh, that's sad. Long after the rites had ended, Faye admitted that she knew well before the fact that she would not be going home again. At least she had a very strong feeling. She ended up not minding very much, because she had little to return to in the Commonwealth. Her sense of home had changed. That was my thinking too. She took to wandering from one celestial landmark to the next, ever paying homage to the 8 scribes, who she believed had influenced all that transpired. She was no stranger to traveling alone, but was always happy to have company. Through it all, she would wonder how her little friend Tizo had fared. While they were divided now by a great distance, he always remained in her heart. Though they could not see each other any longer, Faye often thought about Jadariel and spoke to her as though she were there. Faye tried never to make a decision without first consulting her idea of what Miss Jadariel might say. Whenever she felt genuine doubt, which was not very often, she sought out the reader of the Nightwings. If there was anyone whom she trusted as much as the scribes, it was him. One day she encountered one of her former adversaries, one called Almer Oldheart, who had served the Fate. She remembered him more than he did her, though only just at first. Their shared experience in the rites and their different points of view about the scribes formed the basis of what grew to be a long-lasting relationship. Faye always was devoted to her faith, but more so to her friends. Her gentle manner and unwavering conviction often helped them brave life in the downside, both with courage and with grace. Several exiles of the Nightwings cared more for the plan of Handlewood than to return home from the downside. The crone called Big Bertrude was a prime example. She had found a suitable environment to live, within the dismal region known as Flagging Hands. There she had built up a thriving place of business known to many exiles in the land. With the rites having ended, she returned to her preoccupations, working away, almost as though nothing had happened. When one gets to be more than 400 years of age, perhaps then even monumental events such as the culmination of the rites or the collapse of the Commonwealth are seen as trifling matters. Much of her effort was doubtless due to the influence of Sandalwood, someone whom she had admired now for decades. Though they were very far apart now, she sought out news as to his whereabouts, and found his actions in the Saurian Union a rare source of inspiration. By and large, Bertrude kept focus on her work. Whether casting small enchantments or imbuing talismans, the work brought her a sense of purpose, she would say. In the Commonwealth, such services were strictly forbidden, but in the downside there was a real need for simple luxuries, which the competing slug market could not always provide. Thus did Big Bertrude continue to live up to her name, and the tales of her days with the Nightwings made her that much more the living legend. With the rights drawn to a close, the slug market's revenues fell precipitously, and Falconron was forced to liquidate his assets and close up shop. Yet, as is sometimes the case with those of an entrepreneurial leaning, this time of hardship led to an epiphany, or at least a sudden change of fortune. One day, Falconron had a run-in with a messenger imp bearing news from the other side. Ron gave it to one of his remaining trinkets, which could not be sold. Gave to it. The following week, the messenger imp returned to him bearing a tidy sum of wealth, and newly minted coinage from the Saurian Union. Falconron cut a long-term deal with the messenger imp then and there. Though his trade remained a gray area from a legal standpoint in the Saurian Union, the newfound fame of the downside caused Falconron's goods to explode in popularity. He later signed an elaborate agreement with Big Bertrude's and found a distribution partner on the other side through Rookie Greentail, whose own business had expanded. Especially in the Saurian Union, Falconron's goods are still known for their superior quality, though he assumes no liability for any side effects. Oh, my throat. We're getting there. After the cycle of the rights ceased turning, records of what happened to the Black Wagon of the Nightwings became inconclusive and contradictory. Some accounts suggest that the exiles of the Nightwings who remained in the downside continued to make use of the Black Wagon as their place of shelter and their means of travel. However, there is no record of what happened to the wagon's contents, such as the Book of Rites or the Beyonder Crystal, said to be haunted by the apparition Sandra the Unseen. One possibility is that, when the lone minstrel took his leave, he took the Beyonder Crystal with him, for he was thus obliged. By this line of reasoning, however, the Black Wagon itself should have been taken also. Others remain skeptical that the Beyonder Crystal ever existed, or rather, that the visions that it granted were anything other than the result of an active imagination or a fever dream. The bog dwellers of the southern bogs offer still another explanation, for they are familiar with binding enchantments. If there existed such an object in which the Sisters of the Arch had been expelled for more than 800 years, then the enchantment could have expired along with the light of the stars. What this would have meant for Sandra and the Beyonders is difficult to say for certain, other than it may have meant that they were finally released. Nevertheless, the fates of Sandra and the Beyonder Crystal remain unknown. Yet those exiles of the Nightwings who claim to have seen this apparition all spoke of her with degrees of reverence, or perhaps a little fear. Can you believe this, reader? Honestly. Sandra has appeared before you, as well you can see. They are so far from the mark with all this nonsense. I'm wont to laugh. In fact, here goes. She laughed. She is referring to the account of her. You sense she does not care for it. Well, let them gossip all they like. I merely wish that they would mention you at least in passing when next they are at it, though they shall never know even the half of it, shall they? Sandra seems irritated by the incomplete account of what happened to her. You suggest to Sandra that the account of what occurred to her was really not that bad, and that you liked aspects of it. You are much too diplomatic, you know that? You can tell she is unswayed, and yet her grin remains intact. She appreciates the gesture. Anyway, let us keep going, lovely reader. We know the truth of it. That is what matters. She fades into the Beyonder Crystal for now, and you tuck it away as safe. After his liberation, Hedwyn was instrumental in the events leading to the fall of the Commonwealth and was vital to the outcome of the plan. The peaceful outcome of the scribe's return was attributed to several key factors. One of them was the underlying ambition of the plan itself. Another was Hedwyn's visibility among the people in the streets. Identified to be a liberated exile, he was believed to be Golgol Athanian reborn. More importantly, however, was that one of the winged harps of the High Wing remnants accompanied him. She was later identified as Fikani Shang, a harp for whom Hedwyn cared deeply. They were separated when Hedwyn was exiled. Their bond was symbolic of what was at stake that night, and proved vital to the peace that followed. In all his days as leader in the Saurian Union, Hedwyn oft confided in his friend Jadariel. Despite her intense manner, there was no one whom he trusted more in times when circumspection was required. Hedwyn would often think back about the vow he made at the beginning of his quest for freedom. Although he cherished all the friendships he made, he had pledged to Jadariel, Rookie Greentail, and the Reader of the Nightwings that they might all be free again together. He had broken that vow, for in the end not all of them were able to return. A terrible guilt over this darkened his mood for a time. However, the others whom he still knew lifted his spirits. Much like he had often lifted theirs, all of the Nightwings knew the stakes. While the others who stood with the Nightwings were not all able to remain in contact with us, Hedwyn thought of each of them often, and so in turn did they all think of him. When the worm Gilman returned to the Commonwealth, he believed that he had regained something even more important than his freedom, his honor. Gilman relinquished his knighthood and declined an opportunity to serve as captain on the Blood Border. He was not interested in fighting any longer. Yet, as is sometimes the case with those such as he, a circumstance soon came about in which there came a need for him to once again make use of his military training. Thankfully, however, the scribe's return ended peaceably. Gilman was on edge throughout the night, expecting violence to erupt at any moment, but the moment never came. When the matter was at last put to rest, then Gilman truly knew his time as knight had ended. He declared to all those in earshot that he would never fight again. Unless, of course, there arose some other extraordinary set of circumstances, again requiring him to fight, but he certainly hoped not. He still trained regularly, just in case, especially with his fleet-footed friend Rookie. He was always grateful for having studied under the Reader of the Nightwings, without whom he would never have completed his penance. Because of this, and perhaps because they were on opposite sides of the world now, Gilman dedicated his life to him. By that point, he had long forgotten about his days under the leadership of Sir Deluge, his former commander. Breaking free of his abusive leadership was his first step towards gaining a bit of self-respect. Gilman never did return to his homeland of the Sea Dominion, and was content to lead a monastic life on a small residence in the hills. It was just high up enough to make him keep striving to conquer his fear of heights. Other than that, an intense daily training regimen and the occasional visit from an old companion was more than enough to keep him optimistic and engaged. He knew by then that honor was not something to be won, but a contract with oneself to be renewed each day. Rookie. After Rookie Greentail earned back his freedom, he returned to a lavish welcome ceremony in the Commonwealth, as was the tendency for liberated exiles. It was everything he could have hoped for, and soon he was well off, surrounded by luxury, and choosing between various exciting opportunities. However, he must have given in to his better judgment, as he didn't end up siding with Volfred Sandalwood's revolutionary forces as he promised. On the night of Scribe's return, Greentail was there with the others, inspiring the masses. He never looked prouder, the very image of Jomer Manymane himself. When dawn finally came and it became clear that the Commonwealth that everybody knew would be no more, he realized many new opportunities awaited. He began quite a lucrative career for himself, manufacturing and selling replica merchandise inspired by the downside. His main struggle was to meet demand. An aspect of his conscience cautioned him against making light of such a thing, but the money was too good and soon his family was as well off as he always said. One of his orders of business was to seek out one of his old companions, Pamitha Thane, to whom he took a liking during their quest for freedom. They bonded further over love of drink and supported one another through uncertain times that lay in store. He also kept in close touch with Gilman, ever the perfect practice partner. They would train together often, taking care to stay in tip-top shape as much as possible throughout the years. Greentail always did his best to keep in touch with all his many friends, and knew that he owed his fortunes to them. He made a special point of staying close to the group of friends who came to know as well. The friends he came to know so well during his time with the Nightwings, wherever they were. They shared a special understanding that put even Greentail at a loss for words sometimes. After her liberation, Jadariel soon became an icon of the movement that led to the collapse of the Commonwealth and the rise of the Saurian Union. Her horns and stern countenance inspired the people to believe that she was Solium Mur, reborn. She became a great, if reluctant, leader. In the uncertain times that followed, Jadariel's seasoned expertise often came into play both in matters of security and of state. For instance, she conscripted and trained a team of volunteers in public safety. The community did not know what to make of such a cordial bunch at first, but soon came to value their service. They have stood for the people ever since, and we celebrate their founding day each year. She remained close with Hedwyn all through this experience, and they supported each other through their struggles many, many times. She often had to stop herself from fearing for Faye, whom she had tried to look after as much as possible in the downside. Soon she would reassure herself that Faye was very capable of surviving on her own, and in fact she was not mistaken. She continued training on her own, a regimen that grew stricter with each passing year. There were those who sought to train with her, and she sometimes obliged. There remained one other constant in her life. She would always remember her days among the Nightwings, and with fondness for the most part. After regaining her freedom, Pamitha Thane found herself in a difficult position. Having once betrayed her people of the Highwing remnants, she knew that she would not be welcome in her native home. She did not trust the Commonwealth either. Instead, she found her place among Volfred Sandalwood's agents who were busy doing their part to fulfill the plan. As it turned out, the plan was a success. Pamitha Thane stood shoulder to shoulder with her other fellow former exiles, and truly they were a sight to behold. A disturbing rumor later spread that night the Highwing remnants were slated to mount an assault, which for some reason never came to pass. Pamitha denied any knowledge or involvement. Afterward, Pamitha played an active part in negotiating terms between the Highwing remnants and the new nation that would become our Saurian Union. Her previous attempt at something of the sort led to her exile. She must have felt some satisfaction to succeed this time around. Sometime later, Pamitha had an unexpected run-in with Rookie Greentail, with whom she had spent a fair amount of time while traveling with the Nightwings. Not really, though. I think we got Pamitha after Rookie was gone. Or maybe... No, I think we got rid of Rookie shortly after we got Pamitha, but still. Under these new set of circumstances, it turned out the two had more to talk about and rather more in common. They would often put to test which one was able to outdrink the other. It is unclear as to which of them prevailed in that contest in the end. One day, Pamitha received an invitation to return to the Highwing remnants, where she was to be fully pardoned. She held out a hope that she might see her blood sister Tamitha there, knowing full well that Tamitha did not regain her freedom. Tamitha did later learn that Pamitha was welcomed back by their people. However, she never responded to her blood sister's attempts to contact her. Pamitha in turn did not expect forgiveness from her at any point. Nonetheless, she kept on trying to reach out. She said, to ruffle up her feathers just a bit. Later, when asked, Pamitha Thane admitted she felt as though she had no home to call her own. This was during an interview conducted amid an extensive trip abroad, for she had traveled thousands of leagues beyond the bounds of the Saurian Union. Pamitha continued her journey thus, citing that it reminded her of when she was younger and could fly unfettered. After the cycle of the rites ceased turning, the lone minstrel bade the remaining Nightwings take the Black Wagon and seek their fortunes elsewhere in the downside. The parting was heartfelt but brief. He remained there at the summit of Mount Aladeel with Celeste, where the two of them would chronicle the final outcome of the cycle. Neither Tarek nor Celeste were ever seen again. We know all this now through song attributed to them. Some claim these songs originated in the taverns of the Saurian Union and merely were imbued with weight of folklore. However, exiles liberated from the downside corroborated each other's claims at having met this duo that presided over the liberation rites. Another folktale suggests these minstrels were heralds of the scribes. Having fulfilled their obligations, they departed the world we knew and rejoined their patrons. One of their famous songs describes another simpler outcome, that the two gave up their duties to the rites in favor of a life that they could share together. In any case, they were likely to remain the subject of such verses and such songs, for it was they who watched over the rites and ushered in our times. When Volfred Sandalwood regained his freedom, he knew that his work had only just begun. The nation that had exiled him to life in the downside now prepared to honor him, but he was not interested in such ceremony nor in freedom of the Commonwealth's own terms. He soon rejoined his agents, with whom he had been coordinating for years, slowly, carefully, preparing for a night that soon would come. For Sandalwood and his loyalists and sympathizers, true freedom was at stake, not just theirs, but that of everyone living under the Commonwealth. He hoped to gather liberated exiles representing each of the 8 largest ethnic groups composing the population of the Commonwealth. They would stand together as a vision of the 8 scribes returned, inspiring the masses to embrace an older set of values from before the Commonwealth had tightened its grip. With the rites having ended sooner than expected, this optimal scenario became impossible, but Sandalwood did not relent, and prepared to execute his plan, imperfect though it was. On the night of Scribe's return, he stood as one of 6 former exiles of the Nightwings, and their voices echoed together through the streets. These former exiles who ought to have disappeared into the ranks of the Commonwealth's own leadership now stood united with its people who poured from their homes in solidarity. It was imperative to Sandalwood that his stand against the Commonwealth be peaceful in its nature. An overwhelming show of popular support would be more than enough. Ensuring this was his priority that night, and in the end, the result was self-evident. The plan's goal had been achieved. Sandalwood's work far from over still. He labored ceaselessly with representatives from across the population to restore a sense of stability. This transitional period had its troubles, though none of that were not quickly solved, such as the will and spirit of the people. They understood their freedom carried new responsibility. After the Saurian Union was born the next year, Sandalwood was elected as the nation's first prime minister. It was not his intent to run for this office, but the people chose him anyway. He led our fledgling nation through its nascent years. One of his allies in all this was the imp Tizo, with whom he traveled all across the downside. Sandalwood often cited Tizo as the wellspring of his own enthusiasm for a brighter future. Such was the creature's spirit. As Wolfred Sandalwood gained more fame throughout this land for all of his sacrifices and his contributions, he remained ever steadfast about 2 things. The first was that the cause itself ought to remain in focus. The freedom that the people had achieved, it was a cause to be cherished, a set of values that needed to be nurtured. The second point he made was that he himself had little to do with the outcome. He would often praise the exiles of the Nightwings who had stood with him, each in turn by name. He never forgot any of them. One day, on his birthday, the people of the Saurian Union presented to him a monument depicting him and the Nightwings as imagined in their prime. In a sense ensured that those of us with memories more fallible than that of Sandalwood likewise remember the achievements of his fellow former exiles, and our cause. There's one more account which warrants mention. The Nightwings conducted the rites under the guidance of a reader. Little is known of him. However, some accounts of him begin to paint a picture. We know he was of common birth, always directionless and prone to misremembering at times. The journey to the downside left him close to death. It was then that the Nightwings found him. They brought him from the brink. He showed them the path. He pressed onward with the others. He vowed the Commonwealth would pay for what it did to him. Thus did the cycle of the rites commence its final turns. When the final rite arrived, the reader's freedom was at stake. In the end, however, he remained in exile. From that point on, accounts of him diverge. It is said the voice which troubled him he never heard again. Some say he helped improve the lives of other downside exiles. Though, whether that is true, only he knows. Someday perhaps that reader's own star shall emerge. Then it shall pierce the dark of night in all its brilliant glory. Until such time and ever after, all of us give thanks.
Their journey began on a barren
Yay!
waste where the reader arrived. Brave and low.
So final thoughts, I guess. Really cool game. Great world. Cool characters. Decent enough gameplay. It was kind of cool, but it seemed a little bit disjointed, and it wasn't too difficult unless you invoke those like extra challenges or whatever. The extra challenge stars. Dragged on a little bit for me. I think I would have enjoyed this game a lot more if I didn't stream it. because streaming it, my throat was killing me after every time I streamed, because it's just a lot of reading. I tend to do better with like lore and reading and like really taking in the game when I'm just playing it myself and not like worrying about the stream and talking about it and stuff. Soundtrack is great. You can tell that they really were proud of the soundtrack. They didn't hide it. I love when games do that, when they actually add some great audio to the game. And this game did that. I think I'd give it like a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10. It was good and all, but nothing insane. Nothing that was like super impressive. But yeah, I had fun with it. It was a heartwarming little story. I still think Bastion is my favorite of the Supergiant Games' games. But this one has its place. Another thing I really liked was just kind of how you just pick your own path. There's really no wrong way to go through the game. And I'd be interested to see what happens if you just like lose all the time. Or like if you choose Orlek at the end or anything like that. I wonder how much really would have changed.
The moon-touched girl feels the scribes in the heart of the downside. She remained to the end.
Tizo prevailed.
Good game though. I'm gonna let the credits, you know, speak for itself. Let the game speak for itself. So for those of you who joined me for this playthrough, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure playing it, fun game, and we'll be moving on to our cool Mario playthroughs pretty soon. But that's it for tonight, so see you guys next time.
He has found a new home. Sir Gilman the Bold, ever in his quest, finding honor and glory. He has found his way home. Pameth the Thane, having pleased the scribe, seeking only forgiveness. She has found her way home. They follow the stars, bound together, strands in a braid till the end. Bound together, spirits tether, strands unbroken, scribes awoken. Wolfred prevailed as the night wings guide, having led them to glory. He has found his way home.
The bog dweller Bertrude kept their foes at bay with her finest enchantments. She remained till the end. The reader at last made the night wings whole, having bound them together. He remained till the end. They follow the stars, bound
to the stars. We shall find a way home. We shall find our way home. We shall find our way
Ooh, there's a little bit of an after credits that I want to show. Don't want you guys to miss out. I think it's just showing what's up above. I guess this is just like the Saurian nation or something. True Nightwing campaign unlocked. Let's see what that's all about. See what that says. For players who have finished the campaign, your adversaries shall be favored by the stars themselves. Base difficulty same as heightened. All Titan stars unlocked and some must be used. Enlightenment required to rank up rescaled. Cannot load checkpoints or restart rights. Book of Rights and White Loot fully unlocked. White Loot. Slug Market inventory fully unlocked. Feats of Glory introduced much sooner. Okay. Just like a higher difficulty level, I guess. Okay. Like I said, that's it for tonight. We're going to be continuing with my Mario playthroughs pretty soon. I got to get that stuff all set up. But that's what's on the schedule next. So yeah, again, for those who watched, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.